Thank you, everyone, for introducing yourself. It's so wonderful to have people from Nigeria. I could see Rwanda. I saw Kaduna. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning. We sincerely appreciate you all, and we hope this will be a wonderful session for everyone. Okay, so now we'll be starting officially. Good morning, distinguished guests, respected speakers, and all participants joining us from across Africa. Welcome to the Pan-African Youth Leadership Training Program, themed Effective Leadership for Business Transformation. I am Oluwatimileyin, and I'll be the co-host for today's program. Today's session is designed to equip young African leaders with the mindset, the discipline, emotional intelligence, and transformational capacity that is required to thrive in today's business world. Before we begin, kindly ensure your microphones are muted, your screens are stable, and your notepads are ready. You can engage in the chat throughout the session, and we'll have a dedicated question and answer moment after each speaker. Once again, welcome, and we are delighted to have you here. With that said, I would like to introduce my co-host, Pascaline.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing this morning? I'm Pascalina Bams. It's such an honor to be hosting this meeting with all of us here. I'm delighted to be here today. I'll be your host alongside my co-host, Timmy, the lady that just spoke now. Well, let me introduce our program and our foundation, what our vision and mission is. At Pan-Africa Youth Leadership Foundation, our mission is to empower young leaders with the skills, exposure, platform needed to change their communities across the continent. This training is one of the many initiatives designed to build capacity, strengthen leadership character, and inspire a new generation of African business leaders. I urge every participant to engage, learn, question, rethink, and grow. It is my honor to declare this leadership training open. Thank you. We all now proceed to the first speaker for today's training. Okay, Timmy, you can take the mic from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Pascaline. Thank you, everyone. So that vision reminds us why leadership today must go beyond authority and move into transformation. And that takes us perfectly into our first session. As you listen to this session, I want you to reflect on one question. How do people experience my leadership right now? So I know some of us might be in various leadership positions. Have you ever sat to think, how do people experience your leadership? What kind of leadership it is that you give out? Let's keep that question in mind. Then, now we'll be introducing our first speaker. Our first speaker is Rebecca Hansen, a renowned transformation and leadership coach based in Rwanda, who has worked with business leaders across Africa and Europe. Ms. Rebecca will be speaking on understanding transformational leadership, a topic that shapes how leaders inspire, influence, and drive meaningful change. You all, please join me in welcoming Ms. Rebecca Hansen. Can we kindly react as she comes on stage? Thank you. So I want to see our beautiful reactions with our best emojis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank
Hi,
you.
everyone. Thank you so much. Can you hear me all right? I'm on two different entries. I have video on one and audio on the other. So I just want to make sure that you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here, first of all. I really appreciate that. And I love already seeing all of the love coming through. Please keep those emojis coming throughout the session. It helps me understand whether or not you understand and you're on board and you are fully with me when we're going through the session. Also, I know that we're saying that there's 5 minutes at the end for questions, but if you do have questions along the way, just put them in the chat. I might see it, and then I can handle whatever it is that you're asking about as we're going through that part of the topic. So I'm very open to just receive questions in the chat. Just before we get started, I'm just going to go ahead and give a short introduction to myself. My name is Rebecca Hansen, and as the introduction said, I'm based here in Kigali in Rwanda. I saw that we have a couple of Rwandans here, so that's amazing. I am a transformational leadership coach. I work mainly with corporates, so leaders in corporates, but I also work with entrepreneurs, I work with founders, so people in general that have leadership needs. So this session is going to be about transformational leadership, and I'm really excited about this because this is something that I've been doing for a while. I do my leadership coaching from the perspective of personal development, which means that it really comes down to figuring out who are we as a human being, who are we as a leader, and how can we start? I like to say, how can we figure out what kind of leader that we want to be versus being really honest about what kind of leader are we today? And then how can we start closing the gap between who we are and who we want to be? And as I see it, it really comes from a place of being the kind of person who can hold strong leadership. And we're going to get deeper into what that means in this session. But I want to get started with, what is transformational leadership even about? For me, transformation, it is the intentional change in a desirable direction. So we decide that we want some sort of change, and this can be in life, it can be in business, it can be in relationships, it can be just personal development, it can be fitness, it can be whatever it is, right? We want some sort of a transformation, and it is a change that we set out personally. We desire it and we want to go for it. Now, the leadership part is really about how to be the driving force in that transformation and in navigating that direction. And the leadership is, I always say, leadership starts at home, right? It starts with ourselves. If we cannot lead ourselves, we cannot lead other people. And so it really comes down to, who am I going to be as a leader? And then seeing if you cannot drive transformation for yourself personally, you cannot drive it for other people. Because people want evidence that you are who you say you are, which is very interesting. I think we have a couple of people unmuted, so maybe we can just handle that. I don't know if I can even do that. Oh, okay. So when it comes to driving that change and being the beacon for that change, it comes down to, who are you as a human being? And I like to ask people, what is the kind of leader who has been that for you? Who is the kind of person who has been that for you? Because I feel like very often we have an idea of what leadership is, but then we forget to root it in what does it actually look like in real life. And I like things to be practical. I like things when we can see it and we can understand it from our own experience. So it can be that maybe you had a really impactful teacher or grandmother or uncle or auntie or a friend's parent or a caretaker, your own parent, someone who had a really positive impact on you as a human being, and someone that you trusted, and someone that said, when we're going to do this, we're going to do it, and you trusted them to do it. Start to figure out, what are the kind of attributes? What is it about this person that made you trust them? Because if you are not trusted by the people that you lead, they will not let you lead them. So it really comes down to figuring out, how do I build? For me, it's very deep on integrity. It's on having strong values. It's about being true to your word. It's about, when you say you're going to do something, you're actually going to do it. And when you start becoming this kind of person, you might not notice when you say, I'm going to do this, and then you never do it, right? How many people have had I'm going to start the gym on Monday, right? I'm having someone say that you can't see my face, but I have two different, are you not able to see me? I have two logins. So one is on audio and the other is on video. You can see me, right?
No, we can't see your face actually.
You cannot. So maybe you have the wrong, I think you have the wrong one pinned. If you can find the one that says Rebecca RH, that's the one I have that has the video. So I think that's why some people can see me and some people cannot. It's just that you've pinned the wrong account.
Oh, okay, that's fine. You can go on. Thank you.
Can you see me now? I want to make sure that you can see me. It's more fun when we can see each other, isn't it? So let me know when you have that pinned. You can see me now? Okay, that's good. Hey, good to see you all. Okay. So I think someone who has admin privileges on this call needs to find the account called Rebecca RH and then pin that one. Now I'm co-host. Okay, that's awesome. Now can we pin me? Are you able to have me pinned? Yay! Okay, now you see me, right? Now you can see me. Everyone is here. You're here with me. Yes. Amazing. Well, I hope that you are able to at least hear what it is that I had to say in the beginning, because I know that sometimes when you don't see someone, you don't actually hear what they're saying. So just to really sum up very quickly what it is that we spoke about is, it is what is transformation, which on my end is about driving intentional change in any area of life or business. And then versus what is leadership, which is being the driver of that change. Now, we can apply a lot of leadership in our personal lives. I always say leadership starts at home. So being the kind of person who can hold a difficult conversation, that's an important thing in leadership, right? Are you able to have difficult conversations? Then figure out if you can have difficult conversations with people at home, right? Your spouses, your parents, your siblings, your cousins, whatever it is. You know, if you're able to have difficult conversations with someone where there's an emotional attachment, is actually way harder than having difficult conversations with someone where you're not emotionally attached to them. You don't have many years of emotional background with them. So you can actually practice a lot of leadership at home. So I always say to people, leadership starts at home. It starts with when you say that you're going to go to the gym. I did the whole thing about waving at you before. Hey, has anyone here done the thing where you say we're going to start the gym on Monday, we're going to start exercising on Monday, we're going to start eating healthy on Monday, right? Monday comes and I'm like, maybe not this Monday. I didn't actually specify what Monday. It might as well be, you know, the following Monday, or there might be, you know, the first of the next month or the first of the next year. And then, oh, but 1st of January, everyone is hungover. So not that one, right? And we just keep postponing the thing that we said that we were going to do. And that is actually incredibly harmful for your leadership, because it means that even you now, you don't trust your own word. Even you don't trust when you say that you're going to do something. And that is really harmful, because if you don't trust it, why would anyone else trust it? Energy really speaks louder than words, right? Have you ever tried this situation where you're talking to someone and they're trying to sell you on an idea, maybe on a product? They want to just have your buy-in on something. And they keep saying, oh, but it's so good because of this and this and that, and this and that is going to happen. And you can just sense from their energy, it's like, I don't believe a word that you say, right? I'm not going to trust you because the energy is not there. And the more that we say we're going to do something and then we don't actually do it, the more we build up that energy that people just can't trust. So it is so important. We really undermine how important it is that when we say we're going to do something, that we actually do it, because it's about trusting ourselves. And leadership starts with ourselves. We need to trust ourselves before anyone else can trust us. And leadership is about trust. If you want to create change in a certain direction, you're going to face a lot of pushback. People hate change. Very, very few people do not dislike change. Okay. And there's a reason for this. Change will always be challenged. And the reason is that we have two main minds. I would like for you to, I don't know how many of you already know about, we have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. Now, the conscious mind is the part of us that is very rational, it's logical, it's the one that sets up all of the plans and the ideas, and it's the one that reads the books and listens to the podcasts and makes up all the rational decisions. And then we have the subconscious mind, which is really the one that drives us. Actually, we don't think that's the case. We think we're in control of ourselves, but our subconscious mind is making a lot of the decisions for us. And the subconscious mind is not rational. The subconscious mind the conscious mind can understand. We want to start exercising. We want to eat healthy because it's good for us and it's going to help with our longevity and we're going to feel better. But the subconscious mind is going to think, what in the world is this? I don't know this unfamiliar space. I don't want to go there. So now I'm going to add a ton of resistance so that you will make all of the excuses for why you're not going to do the thing. So I like to see it like this. If you imagine that your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, they're on a road trip together. All right, you just imagine for a second. You're in a car. Your subconscious mind is driving the car. And your conscious mind, I think someone got unmuted again. Your conscious mind is sitting in the passenger seat holding Google Maps, right? So you have your conscious mind, the one that thinks it's in control, the one that makes all of the decisions it thinks, the one that's the rational mind, right? Sitting in the passenger seat holding Google Maps, and it's giving directions. It's the one that's navigating. Now we're going to go here, we're going to go there. But the subconscious mind is the one driving the car. And you can say as much as you want. We say we need to turn right the next time, but the subconscious mind can just keep going straight. And then it feels really frustrating. But what we then do is that we make up all of the reasons for why it's okay that we totally didn't take the right turn. And Google Maps is just going to give us a new route anyway. And we'll just figure out in the future, we'll make it the future problem, right? We didn't do the thing that we said we were going to do, make it a future problem. And the subconscious mind is actually what is in control. Now, the reason that this is important to understand is because it's not just you as a human being that's driven mainly by your subconscious mind. It is all human beings. And the subconscious mind dislikes change. It dislikes anything that is unfamiliar. And that is why we say, you might have heard the expression that we prefer a familiar hell to the unfamiliar heaven, right? We really want to latch onto whatever is familiar to us and the things that we've always known. It's the same thing that if you cross the street and halfway across the street, you see a car coming. And instead of continuing to run over to the other side of the street, you run back without even thinking about it. Have you tried that? You know, that feeling, right? Like, oh, let me just go. And you don't even get to rationalize it because you just experience the car's coming, your instincts set in and you run back. And that is because that first half of the road is familiar. You've already crossed that. You were safe crossing that. You don't know. The subconscious mind's like, that other half, we don't even know that. We haven't been there. So we run back. And this is why when the subconscious mind considers everything that is unfamiliar, it considers it unsafe. That is why people will stay in bad eating habits, bad health habits, because even though our conscious mind can understand, but those habits are bad for me, I want to change them, the subconscious mind is thinking, but this is where we've lived for most of our lives. At least we haven't died. You don't know what this new food and this new exercise and these new routines and these new habits, you don't know what they come with. We might die, right? And your conscious mind is going to be like, how are we going to die from healthy food and exercise? Well, the subconscious mind is not rational, right? It's very irrational. So when we understand that whenever change comes, human beings are going to resist it at first, right? Because it's unfamiliar. And that is why if you have an organization, I'm sure either you have your own organization, you have your own business, or you've been working in somebody else's business, or you've just been experiencing people being exposed to change that is put on them, right? I'm leadership, I'm going to come here and say, hey, we got some new things coming. Immediately people are going to be worried. Am I going to get fired? Is this like a restructuring? Does this mean I'm going to lose my job? And am I going to hate the new tasks I'm going to get? Am I going to be put somewhere with people I don't know? Am I going to lose all of the things that actually makes this job fun? What if I end up with all the tasks that I don't like? And the thoughts are just popping up, and all leadership has said, we're making some changes. And people are going to resist that change like it's wildfire, right? They're going to try and do everything they can to, let's keep things as they are because we don't want that change. It is so uncomfortable, especially when we don't know what that change is. So when it comes to transformational leadership, a lot of what is needed from you as a leader is to lead people through the discomfort of change and get their buy-in for that change. Like I said, change will be challenged always. It will be challenged first by your subconscious, but because you're the person who's actually responsible for the change, you feel less scared about the change. There's nothing as terrifying as change that is out of our control. Change that we don't know about, change that just comes at us and we know something is going to change. And now the brain goes into all of the worst case scenarios of what's going to happen. The subconscious mind literally screaming the feeling of what if we die? What if all the bad things? How many of you have made up crazy worst case scenarios whenever something was put in front of you? Like, this is going to happen. And you're like, all of these other things could happen, right? I used to be the kind of person, I could make up worst case scenarios about the weirdest things. The weirdest, if I was going to walk down a flight of stairs, I would envision myself falling down the stairs and just like breaking my face, right? That was, and it never happened. Because my brain was so wired for worst case scenarios. I would always be in the space of just worst case scenarios everywhere. My brain was just in that. And therefore, whenever something came to me that was change related or out of my control or something that I didn't know about, my entire system would be fighting against it. And now if you have a group of people and all of them, right, with heights, I hate heights. Always see myself falling over. Exactly that. But now if you're implementing change in your organization or with your team or with your business, and you have 90% of the people in that organization comes with resistance, right? That's why I'm saying change will be challenged. People are going to say, but what if we are, what could we do something else? Could we do a smaller change? Could we change, this thing instead of that thing? And they're going to have all of the ideas. You've already worked out the whole strategy, and now you're about to explain it to people. And everything from people is like, could we not do this? Could we do that instead? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if we do this thing? And what if we do that thing? And it's just exhausting, right? So it's really about how do you now communicate change in a way that brings people on board? And that includes, how can you make the vision for the transformation something that people can emotionally connect to? And I see that one of the mistakes that a lot of leaders make is that they create a vision for something and it sounds really smart, right? It goes in here, sounds really smart. But humans, we're not driven by logic. Humans are driven by emotion, always. So if you are only speaking to the brains of people, if you're only speaking to the smartness, their minds, their logic, they're not even going to listen. Because as soon as they hear change, the brain stops working because fear kicks in. And now they get emotional. So how can you work in a way that you get people emotionally on board? And that is about creating a vision that people really connect to. Now in London these days, we have the African Business Heroes happening, which is an amazing 2-day event. And the second day is always about business pitching. You have 10 entrepreneurs who are pitching their businesses to a set of judges. And they have 3 minutes to explain their business. And they always make it incredibly emotional. Last year, I think the winner was a guy who came out on stage and he said, my stepmom died because of paperwork. My stepmom died because the hospital could not access her correct papers, her medical history. And we want to change that. And then he goes into this whole story around how she ended up in the hospital and it was an emergency and the hospital couldn't find her medical background. So they didn't know everything that she had been going through. And if they had had that information, they could have saved her, but they didn't have that information. And now people are on board. They're like, we need to make sure that that never happens again, right? It invokes the sense of this is so unjust. This cannot happen again. Imagine if it happened to me. And you get people really involved with something emotionally. It connects emotionally. So now we want to be part of that. We want to be part of the story. And so clients are more likely to buy from them. People are more likely to invest in them. They're more likely to win these types of pitching competitions because we can emotionally connect. We feel like it's really, really, really important. And the best way to lead transformation in your organization is getting the people on board with the understanding that this is really, really, really important. But another thing is also, and I think this is something that is very often neglected, which is, are you able to hold the pushback, right? A lot of people, they don't have the belief in their own power and the belief in their own vision. So they're very quick to give it up. They're very quick to say, oh, but it didn't work. Have you ever tried this? You see somebody and then they're like, oh, I want to do this thing. And then they try it once and they fail. And they're like, oh, so that wasn't for me. If you're a leader and you're an entrepreneur and you have a vision, you have to keep holding that vision every single time it's challenged. And as I said, change will be challenged, always. So when you're experiencing pushback, you have 90% of your organization is pushing back on you, trying to make this change not happen. Are you able to stand in the truth of this transformation? Are you able to have faith and trust in the transformation? Are you able to hold the vision for long enough for you to sit with that pushback and keep convincing people this is what we're going to do? Because if you're the kind of person who always gives up when it gets hard, you cannot lead people because they won't trust you. They see you do this a few times and they're going to say, oh, but it's only a matter of time before this person gives up. And you might even have people who are pushing towards it. They're going to say, oh, let's see how far we can push it before he gives up or she gives up. But the personal power in sitting with the pushback, with the challenges, with the difficulty, and keep going when things are really, really, really hard. That for me is the most powerful way of leadership. So I have several important people in my life who are entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs really face the hardest stuff because they are the last people of contact, right? Which means that they cannot go to anyone else and say, oh, can you fix this? They're the ones who have to fix it. And sometimes they get presented with such challenges that it feels almost impossible. Most people would have given up. They would have said, I can't do this. I'm going to close this business and I'm going to stop it from moving forward. But the problem is, if people see you closing down business after business after business, they're not going to believe in the last business. So that's why personal development is so important when it comes to leadership. Personal development is such a key thing when it comes to leadership because we need to be able to handle pushback. We need to be able to sit with pushback. Whenever we are in a situation where we're facing things where I just think I cannot see a way out of it, right? And especially as entrepreneurs, you keep meeting new things. It's never just the same things, right? It's always new things coming where you're like, I have no idea how to deal with this. This is completely new to me. I don't know anyone else who's gone through this. And it's really, really hard from a personal perspective to keep building towards the vision, to keep doing the work. You're tired, you're exhausted. It's just been over and over and over again. You've met challenges just trying to complete this thing. And it's so easy to say, never mind. I'm not meant for this. I'm not cut out for this. I'm not going to do this. The problem is that we always will meet challenges that are just a little bit bigger than who we are at this moment, right? It's like when you're a toddler, you're a kid, right? You deal with things like learning how to walk, tying your shoes, gaining like numerical and like literacy, right? You learn how to read and write and do numbers. And it feels really, really, really hard. But imagine if kids and if toddlers gave up at the same rate as adults. I always say if toddlers gave up at the same rate as adults, we would have grown-ups crawling around in the street because nobody ever learned how to walk. Because first, you have to crawl. Crawling is hard, right? You really put a lot of energy into it. And you look around, you see people walking, you're like, I should be able to do this. And then you start pulling things and trying to grab yourself up and standing, and you have maybe parents or caretakers or others holding you and trying to keep you steady, and your legs aren't working and you're wobbling, you keep falling down. And you fall on your butt again and again and again and again and again. It's not like, oh, I tried a few times. I just don't think walking is for me. I'll be okay crawling for the rest of my life, right? That's not how we do it as toddlers. There's not this self-doubt that, oh, I've done it a few times and it doesn't work. That means it will never work. There's this a deep knowing. Keep working on it. And as I keep working on it, I'll get better and better. And every time I get a little bit better, I'll feel the progress. And sometimes it's like 2 steps. I can do 2 steps yesterday, and then today I can't do anything. What's going on? And then it must not work. No, there's this thing about constantly trying and just believing that you can do it, right? And then you learn how to walk. Once you learn how to walk, it's really wobbly at first. You can take a few steps. But it's not like, oh, but I tried and I did a few steps and I can't do any more, so I should probably never try this again. Again, I'm good with just sitting and crawling. No, you keep training the skill and training the skill and training the skill. And today as adults, you don't even think about it. right? It's not like you get up one day and you're like, wow, I can't believe I can walk. It's so deeply ingrained in us that we're like, of course I can walk. Unless obviously there's a particular reason for injuries or anything that's keeping you from it. Most of us, we're just walking, we don't think about it. But we used to fight so hard for the skill and the privilege to just be able to walk. And then it's like sometime during school, we become incredibly impatient. Sometimes we're just going to say, at some point, we're just going to say, oh, but I tried and it didn't really work. It's like, do you remember how long it took for you to walk? Do you remember how many attempts it took for you to learn how to tie your shoes? Do you remember how many times you had to do this thing? Learning how to speak, learning a new language, learning new words, learning new things. And then as adults, we're like, oh, but I tried for like, okay, I'm also really, me, myself, I'm really bad at this, right? I spent like a year trying to learn Kinyarwanda, and I was like, no, this is just not for me, right? Sometimes we're just gonna, I've not fully 100% given up, but I've had a very, very, very long break. Okay, so the thing is, if there's a change that you really desire, you cannot make room for you to give up. You have to apply the same tenacity and the same determination as a toddler wanting to learn how to walk. And that just means trying again and again and again and again and again until it works. And now, as adults, we meet bigger challenges than we do as toddlers. Because as adults, we've already learned all of the basic skills. So when you do entrepreneurship, let's use entrepreneurship. I know that this is leadership, but entrepreneurship is a lot of leadership. Okay, so we're going to use that as an example. When you start your business, a lot of the challenge is going to feel like, how do I set up my business? How do I get registered for VAT? How do I package my offer? How do I find clients? How do I do this? And how do I do that? And it feels really, really, really draining. But if you work with someone who's been an entrepreneur for 20 years, those things are so normal to them. They're like, oh, I can't even remember when that used to be a challenge, right? But then every single time we're met with a challenge, it's going to feel just a little bit bigger than who we are. And that challenge is allowing us to keep trying to fix it until we reach the next level. And then so we continue to reach the next level and the next level and the next level. But in order to get to the next level, we need to overcome a challenge that's just a little bit too big for us so that we can become the kind of person who can handle that challenge. And leadership includes understanding that this challenge is going to feel really hard until it doesn't feel hard. And we just got to learn how to overcome that challenge over and over and over again, just at bigger and bigger and bigger levels. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of young entrepreneurs, especially, they're very impatient, right? They want to set up a business now and be successful tomorrow. But there's so much groundwork to be done where it feels like you're not getting results. It feels like nothing is moving. It feels like you're trying and trying and trying and nothing is coming back to you. And it's the same when you see a house or a building being built. They're working a year on the foundation, right? You can't see anything. They're just digging around some holes and they're moving around on the ground. But then one day you pass this building and it's shooting up. And all of a sudden it's really, really, really tall. Have you ever noticed that when that happens? I find it so amazing. It's like, you have been working on this for such a long time. I haven't seen any results. All of a sudden it's just shooting up. The problem is most people, they give up before the foundation has been built. Most people will stop working because they keep putting effort into it and nothing is moving. They cannot see the building being built upwards. They just work on the foundation and the foundation and the foundation. And leadership really includes, can you sit with the lack of results, with the challenges that feel really hard? And when you overcome them, it doesn't even feel like there's anything to celebrate because it feels like you're just back at ground zero. And you do this for such a long time. And at some point, now your friends and your family is going to say, are you sure this is the right thing for you to do? Can't you just get a job? Shouldn't you just go get a job? Are there any entrepreneurs here? Are there any entrepreneurs here who have gone through the struggle? Yes. Okay, we see some people here. So a lot of entrepreneurs, will face pushback from the people that love them the most. Have you noticed that? The people that love you the most are the ones who are going to say, I don't believe in your vision. I think you should go get a job. And they do this because they think they're protecting you. They think they're helping you. They see you struggling and they find it hard to sit with your struggle. They find it really, really difficult to see you keep struggling with something and you're not getting results. And they think they're doing you a favor by saying, I think it's time for you to quit and get a job. And what this does for a lot of people is that it seeds doubt. Then they start doubting themselves. And when they start doubting themselves, now all of a sudden, they have the doubt of people outside of them, the people that love them. And they're thinking, if someone that loves me don't even believe in me, how can I believe in me? But leadership, especially during transformation and setting up a business, is very transformative, right? For you and for everyone else. When you're sitting with that doubt, it now becomes really, really hard to say, I think I'm just going to give up. If the people that love me don't believe in me, and if now I don't believe in me, how am I going to continue? How am I going to keep saying, I got this? And that is a personal power thing. Leadership is really about trusting the vision, trusting what you're doing, believing in yourself and believing in what, because entrepreneurship is bigger than you, right? Entrepreneurship is about the people that you serve and about wanting to make a change and about wanting to move a community. All successful entrepreneurs that I know have been through the period of time of somebody that they love who's doubting them, someone that loves them who's doubting them. And they just have to keep moving and keep moving and keep moving through the doubt. And they need to be able to hold that vision. They're going to say, it's okay that you don't believe in this anymore, but I'm going to keep believing in this. Because if I give up on me, who's ever going to follow me? Who am I ever going to lead? So such a big part of leadership is holding the vision. Such a big part of leadership is trusting that you can figure it out and that it's okay that the timelines didn't work out the way that you thought that they would, and really understanding the power that you benefit from, that you get, and the skills that you get, the experience that you get every single time you overcome a challenge. Every single time you overcome a challenge, you strengthen your leadership and you strengthen the power that you have within yourself to keep moving forward. But every single time you want to give up, you're reducing that capability. You're reducing that capacity. So when it comes to transformational leadership, again, just to sum up, because I would really love to get into some Q&A. I know that we have several questions, and I think 5 minutes, a little bit not too much. So I would love to get into some questions, but just a kind reminder of what we've been through here. The transformation part is about the change that is intentional in the direction that you desire. And the leadership part of it is, how do you hold the vision to make that change happen and to lead other people through it, to navigate that space? And we do that by having a vision that's really emotional. And we do that by overcoming challenges and believing in the vision and having trust and faith in the process. And in becoming the kind of person who can hold the pressure, who can keep holding the bigger and bigger and bigger challenges. So many young people, they want a big business from day one. But it's like, you're not the kind of person who can hold the challenges that a big business comes with. So if someone just came and if you just were given, here's $1 million per year business, and you don't have any experience really, you're going to crumble under it because you haven't built that skill. You haven't expanded into the kind of person who can hold all of the challenges that comes with that, right? It's like taking a toddler and putting them on a motorcycle and they can't even crawl or walk yet, right? You have to give the process the patience that it needs. Okay, so I would love, we've already been going for about 35-40 minutes. I would love to, if the moderators are okay with it, can we start the questions a little bit early so that we can get a couple more questions?
Thank you so much, Miss Rebecca. That was a very inspiring session. I learned a lot. And just to mention a few things I learned. The first one, we have two kinds of minds. We have the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. And then when the subconscious mind finds or sees something that is familiar, it will always feel or take it like it's unsafe, but it is our job as entrepreneurs and leadership to always hold on to our vision regardless. So thank you so much for that wonderful session. Now we'll be taking questions from the chat box. Please, if you have any questions, kindly drop them in the chat box. Okay, so we have one from Ibrahim Sakwe, Miss Rebecca. So it says, "Good morning, Ma. I am Ibrahim Sakwe. I hope I got your name correctly, from Sierra Leone. Your presentation is superb and I applaud you. Thank you. Thank you for the applause. So we can also react on the group if we really enjoyed that session. However, I have a few questions to ask for clarity. Number one, what is the key difference between the conscious and the subconscious mind? And how do they interact in our daily decision making as leaders? Okay, so Ms. Rebecca, please, just one question. Would you like if I read all the questions together at once, or would you like to take them one by one?
You can read them now, and then I'll just take them as afterwards.
Okay.
I'll take all three of them.
Okay. So the first question again, he said, what is the key difference between the conscious and subconscious mind, and how do they interact in our daily decision making as leaders? Number two, he says, how does early life programming, that is family, culture, and environment, affect our leadership style subconsciously? And then number three, it says, how can leaders reprogram their subconscious beliefs to overcome fear, self-doubt, or imposter syndrome? Thank you.
Yeah, these are really good questions. So the first one, I kind of touched on it earlier, where the conscious mind, I spoke about how that's the logical mind. It's the one that we really used to think. That's where we put all of our mindset work. It is the one that we used to read books and memorize quotes in scripture, or if that's something for you. It's the one that listens to podcasts, and it's the one that creates all of the strategy. So it's the one that puts out all of the planning, and then we start moving. The subconscious mind doesn't really speak the same way through words. It speaks more through feeling. So what very often happens is that we will feel a level of resistance, and then the conscious mind wants to give into the resistance, so it starts making up all of the excuses for why we should follow the resistance. So that could be something like, I want this change, and I'm going to go get the change, and I'm planning everything out in my mind, and everything feels really good. But then now that it's time to actually act on the change that I desire, I start feeling like I just can't do it. I just can't get myself to do it. I'm terrified of going to the gym and meeting these people. I'm terrified of telling my family that I want to start a business. I'm terrified of sharing with the world that I want to do this thing, because what if all of the pushback and now you start feeling this fear. You start feeling the resistance. You start feeling that I just don't want to do this. And then because you're feeling fear, the conscious mind goes in and says, but you actually don't have to do this. You can wait. You don't have to do it now. You can wait until later, right? And then it starts feeding from the fear. And then it's actually the subconscious mind that drives the direction, but the conscious mind thinks it's in control because it's responding to the fear and then making the excuses for it. And these excuses can feel really self-aware, right? They can feel strategic. It's like, but now is not a good time. We're going to wait until next year. And then we're back in the planning, and the conscious mind thinks it's back in control. But what it actually is that we're protecting ourselves from being exposed to something that we feel is terrifying. And until we recognize that these are the mechanisms that are happening, we can't really do anything about it, because when we're not aware of what is actually going on, we cannot create the change, right? So going straight to your question number 3 is, how can we reprogram our subconscious fear? The best way to reprogram your subconscious fear is to introduce a new pattern. To keep doing something for long enough for your subconscious mind to start feeling safe with it. So that means if you want to get started with a new business, and at first it's terrifying, but you start showing up for this business every single day, even when it's terrifying, even when you're scared, even when there's imposter syndrome and self-doubt and fear. You just keep showing up and you keep building results, and you're going to have a lot of pushback, and you're going to keep doing the thing. And at some point, your subconscious mind is going to be like, this is the new familiar. So we're creating a new familiar zone. But we need to be aware that the pushback is not because there's actually any truth to it. The pushback is because we're feeling unsafe. But the feeling of unsafety comes from the lack of exposure to it. The feeling of unsafety is because we're just not familiar with it. So we need to build familiarity. And once we build familiarity, the subconscious mind starts to relax, and it starts feeling, now this is the new familiar, and now I'm good here. And now you want new transformation and more expansion and new levels. And the whole thing starts again. The doubt comes into your mind, the imposter syndrome comes, the self-doubt comes, and you just have to now create familiarity with your new level, right? And that includes also overcoming a lot of these challenges that are presented to us along the way. So the only way to do it is really to just work through the fear and do it despite the fear, despite the imposter syndrome, build the capabilities, build the experience, become that kind of person who can hold it. And that's when one day it's going to feel normal. In terms of your second question, how does early life programming affect our leadership style subconsciously? Incredibly, so much. So what I very often ask people is, what kind of leader do you want to be? And then describe someone who is the kind of leader that you would love to have yourself. And then we start looking at some really impactful people around the world, people who have written incredible books. And we can see that the kind of leader that we would want to have is someone who sees our power, who trusts in us, who gives us experience, someone who mentors us, someone who helps us develop into this newer, bigger version of us, you know? And then I'm looking at, okay, so honestly speaking, what kind of leader have you become? Not from a place of judgment, but a place of curiosity. What kind of leader are you today? And I'm actually kind of avoidant. I avoid difficult conversation. I don't have time for my people. When they want mentorship, I get short with them. I get impatient with them. I yell at them when they make mistakes. I don't make room for trying things out. So all of the things that we would want in a leader is actually not who we're showing up as. Who we're very often showing up as is the part of us that we've seen being modeled earlier in life. So for me, I was very avoidant. I would avoid difficult conversations. I would avoid anything hard because when I grew up, that was what was modeled to me. Let's just avoid things until they either disappear by itself or become such a big problem that we're going to have to deal with it. And then we're going to make it really, really uncomfortable to deal with it. So that was the kind of leader that I was when I first started in leadership. And what I've seen is that a lot of people, they will model leaders that they were scared of when they were kids. So that more militant approach to leadership, someone who's really harsh, maybe even raising their voices, someone who doesn't make room for mistakes, and who's just really militant, right? Because that is someone that as kids, they took them very seriously. They were scared of them. So they felt like a powerful leader. But we are not leading kids, right? And we don't want to invoke fear in people. Is not the kind of leader that we would want to have. But subconsciously, we show up as that person because we've been programmed to believe that this is a powerful way to lead people, even though it's really not. So I hope that answered your question. I see that there's some more.
Yes, we have another question, Ma, from both pillars. So she says, good morning. Over 4 million naira was put into a new business, which is in DNA testing. It's been over 2 years, and we have been able to break even, and even we also run out of money. Now we just want to close this business, get jobs, and have a stable source of income. What would you advise? Because a lot of money has been spent.
Yeah, I think if we're looking only at the sunk costs, so cost that has been spent that we cannot really do anything about, that is not a good place to make decisions from. It's not a good place to make decisions looking at, we already spent so much time and we already spent so much money, so we should keep going. What is a better place to make decisions from is thinking about, why is this DNA testing important? What is the vision that you're creating from this? What is it going to look like when this business is successful? Right? How can I be part of something? The thing is, it has to be bigger than you. It has to be bigger than you. It has to be that you're deciding to serve somebody who can really benefit from this. So now it's not just about, oh, this is hard. I mean, being able to break even is more than a lot of businesses are able to do, right? So, and of course, it's really frustrating that you don't have more money to put into the business. But this could come from applying for grants, applying for other ways, investors, right? Selling equity in the business, just showing people that this could actually turn into a really lucrative, amazing, impactful business if it got more input. But the thing is, this is one of the things that I spoke about when it comes to entrepreneurship. You're going to be facing a lot of challenges, And in the first many years, a big chunk of that challenge is going to be related to capital. It usually is, right? So do you have the fire in you and the belief in the vision and the trust in the vision and really thinking, this is going to be something so big and this is going to be something so impactful. People need this business in their lives because we're going to change lives, we're going to improve lives. Then how do you deal with the challenge of the financing? How are you going to go and build a vision that is so impactful and so something that emotionally connects to people, that you're going to keep fighting to find the money to put back into this business so that it can grow? But that also means showing this is how much money is needed in order for it to run on itself and build profit, so that an investor can look at it and say, okay, I actually believe in this business, right? If you don't believe in your business, clients are not going to believe in your business, investors are not going to believe in your business, potential partners are not going to believe in your business. So it's really about, are you able to connect with the vision of the thing that is bigger than you in order for you to get people on board, to get people involved, to do something that's bigger? Or have you reached a point where you're like, but actually this was never about the vision. This is never something that I really wanted to do. And if it's not something that you ever really wanted to do or something that you ever really felt connected to, then you can close the business. You might even be able to sell some of it, So it really comes down to who do you want to be in this moment? Do you want to be the person who can believe in this vision? Do you want to be the person who fights through it when it's hard? Because this is going to be one in many, many cases where you're going to deal with hardship. You're going to deal with pushback. You're going to feel tired. You're going to feel exhausted. You're going to feel like, I'm ready to throw in the towel. But if you throw in the towel now, how can you trust yourself to build something that's bigger than you in the future? Because no matter what business you set up, you're going to feel the pushback. Change is challenged, right? It's even the same. Now you want to maybe go out and get jobs instead. Okay, but if you want a job that will eventually put you in a leadership position, you're going to face pushback. You're going to be in a position where there's going to be discomfort and it's going to feel like, I just want to give up on everything and I just want to throw in the towel. And if you do that, people are not going to come to you for leadership. So no matter it is that you do in life, if you're doing something that is important, you're going to deal with pushback, you're going to deal with doubt, you're going to deal with just wanting to just let go and just, let someone else handle this, let me not do this. And if that's the kind of person that you're going to keep being, then you're just never going to be able to build something that is way bigger than you. And not everyone has to do that, right? Some people are going to have other things in life that they're going to find important, and it's not going to be leadership and it's not going to be entrepreneurship. But if you're in it for the leadership, if you're in it for the entrepreneurship, being in a business for 2 years and feeling like it's a struggle, it's going to be the same with the next business, probably. It's going to be the same with the next one. So sometimes it's also looking at it from a very logical place. If it doesn't look like the kind of business that's ever going to be able to build profit, it's not something that you feel connected to. It's not something, sometimes quitting is the right answer. But it's not the right answer if the only reason for quitting is that it's hard. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you, Ma. I hope that answered your question, Ruth. So thank you, Ma. Because of time, we'll be taking one more question as the last question, and that would be from Gift Gantem. So Gift Gantem says, I'm sorry, Miss Rebecca, please, are you still here?
If what?
Okay, I just wanted to confirm if you're still here because
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, so Gift says, for someone who leads social impact projects here in Nigeria, but the people who volunteer are not always active when you call for meeting or activities, does that mean my leadership style is not good? How can I become a good leader who carries my volunteers along? And how can I become a transformational leader? Thank you.
This is it really hits my heart, this one. I don't know if you can feel the pain in this, because definitely I feel that so much. Thank you so much for the question. So it can be really, really hard to lead people based on the vision alone, but it is the most important part of it. So a volunteer is someone who's not really getting paid for it, right? So it feels like a part-time project for them, but it feels like a full-time project for you. It feels like something that's like, you're building something that's greater than you. Sorry. You're building something that's bigger than you, greater than you, something that is for someone else, and you're feeling the passion and you're feeling the importance of it. And now you're having this group of volunteers, and you're hoping that they will show up for this you're calling it a social impact project. You're hoping that the volunteers will show up with the same kind of passion and tenacity that you're holding. But the thing is, most volunteers are not going to do that. Most volunteers are just kind of bored, and then they're like, let me do this thing either because it looks good on my extracurricular resume, or it is because, you know, I would rather not just be at home. But it's not going to be their first priority the same way that it is going to be with you. So the best way to bring volunteers on board is to have that emotional vision that they can buy into, so they understand the importance of the work that they do, and they can feel directly connected to the work that they're doing. So whatever it is that your social impact project is, you're bringing them along on the journey, and you keep reminding them of the importance of their presence, the importance of the work that they do, the importance of them being able to contribute to something that's so much bigger than them, and then helping them feel that emotional connection. Because a lot of volunteers are going to think, oh, but this, you know, this meeting or this activity is not that important. I'm not important in this. Very often volunteers, they don't feel like an important part of it. They just feel like it's a side project. So how can you get them to understand the impact that they have on this? How can you make them want to be part of it? So when it comes to your leadership, a big part of leadership is helping people buy into the vision. It is helping them understand why it's important that they're there, why it's important that they're part of it, what the vision of the organization of this project is. And you help them see, if we keep showing up for this project, this is what life is going to look like for these people that we're helping. This is what, and even in a business, if it's not, this is a social project, but if you have a business, it's the same. Why do you have this business? Why is this business important? How can we use this business to serve people? What does it look like when our clients are served? What is the impact that we're making? Why is it so important that this organization, this business has been set up? And now when you get really, really clear on this importance, you get really clear on what does it look like when success is here, right? In this social project, when you get people the help that they need and that you're there to help them with, what is it going to look like? And a lot of this can be case stories. It can be looking at some of the people that you've helped and have them put their words on why was this work important, and then sharing it with the volunteers, and then letting them understand, wow, this is just, I can't believe that I was part of it. And then helping everyone understand your presence in this project was part of why this person was helped and how they've changed their life. I love the story. Back when they did, when in the US, they were trying to put a man on the moon, right? The president, he came and he visited NASA, and he was moving around trying to figure out, so what's happening here? What's happening there? And he was talking to people, and he asked the janitor, so what are you doing here? And most janitors would probably have said, oh, I'm cleaning. So what he said is that, he said, I'm helping put a man on the moon, right? So he understood that he personally, by keeping the space clean, helped the project of putting this man on the moon. And that was something that he just felt was really important. And he felt his own personal contribution to that project. So very often when it comes to transformational leadership, we really forget to bring people on board. And it's every single human being that is involved with this is important for the change that this impact has. So I would say that is the best thing that you can do. Helping people buy into your vision. And in the beginning, when we start talking about visions, it all makes sense up here. So we will start saying something, and then we forget that people are not the same, right? We are all different people. We will hear words differently. We will understand things differently. So part of the journey for you in getting people involved with your vision is figuring out, how do I communicate the vision of what we're doing so clearly that people will understand it and they will feel emotionally connected to it. So that's what I would say to that.
Wow. Thank you so much, Miss Rebecca. That was a lot. That honestly, I learned a lot, and great gifts. I hope that answered your question. So thank you so much once again, Miss Rebecca. Please, can we join me in appreciating her with a round of reactions? Please, I want to see our reactions. Can we just appreciate her? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, ma. Now we'll be moving on to our second speaker. which my co-host Pascaline would be anchoring. Thank you. Thank you, Ma.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing? I hope we are catching value. Myself, I learned a whole lot from Miss Rebecca. How you just need a little more challenge to move away from where you are. You don't need a challenge that you are comfortable with or that you are accustomed to, otherwise you won't grow. So you need something extra in order to move out of your comfort zone. So that is what I'm taking home today. And I believe you're also taking home something today. All right, so we are moving on to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Afolaji Paul. He is the GMD CEO of Burmanic Nigeria. He will be delivering insights on leadership and business development, focusing on how leaders can scale businesses through strategy, structure, and vision. You are welcome, Dr. Afolaji.
Yes, yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Uh, are
Good
you hearing me?
afternoon.
Yes.
Shall we can?
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Pan Africa Youth Leadership Foundation. Uh, thank you so much. I'll be talking about the effective of leadership for business development. As you rightly say, my name is Dr. Afolaji Abolaji Paul. I'm the Group Managing Director of Bomami Nigeria Limited. Basically, I'm into construction, a build and I sell on a building currently in Lagos. Um, we do a lot of projects in Ireland called Lekki, Ikoyi, VI Axis. I will share my experience because the journey has not been good. To be a leader is not something that is robust. It's not something that is, uh, that's smooth. There's always the downside. People see the good side. They don't know what we're actually going through. Most times, clothes even cover what we're going through. To be a leader is not something that is easy. Uh, Once again, it's a privilege for me to stand before you today, not to just share knowledge, but to share an experience, real lesson from my journey in business and real estate. When people see success, they see building, they see companies, they see structures, great numbers. But what do they not always feel in decision? As in, what they did not feel is decision makings, the risk, the failure, and the leadership thinking that build those results. People doesn't see that. They only see the, gigantic project. Probably you're a group managing director, you were cruising on Land Cruiser, G-Wagon, Mopo here and there. They don't know what is going down there. They don't know what you're actually going through. They don't see the failure. They don't see the leadership, except occasionally when the opportunity, prescribes himself and you are sharing your journey with them. There's a quote from Bishop David Oyedepo that say, we live in thinker world. Thinker rule the world. If you're not a thinker, you end up as slave. And that is a very great one. We need to think as a youth, most especially those of us that come from this part of Africa, Nigeria, Africa in general. We need to think because the economics is not even robust. We don't have a good leader that is ready to help you. So you need to actually think out of the box to get where you want to be. Like they said, Rome was not built in a day. It's not a one day, journey. So we needs to think. This is the truth in business and leadership and development. I did not, let me start with a vision. We'll talk with the vision. People does not know there's a difference between a vision and a mission. A vision to build, to create, to develop, and to contribute. Vision is what you see, what you want to become. It is not what you just sit down and okay, I will get there. You must see it. For those who go to United Kingdom, often that make use of their train, they will say, see it, say it, and sort it. If you don't see it, how will you say it? It is difficult. You don't say what you did not see. As a youth, We must think out of the box. And when we're thinking, we must think pessimistic. We must think about good things. We must think about see ourselves being there. Our side, our Africa in general, we might not have a good leader, the economy might not be good, the environment might not be cool, but we must see it as if, okay, I can attain these things. We must see, we must have a vision for you to be an effective leadership, for you to be there. If you ask Dangote, he will also tell you the stories that it is not a day job. If you call Femi Otedola, if you call Tony Elumelu, they all have a story. We must have a story to tell. As a leader, for you to be, there must be a story. You must have gone through a lot in life before you can attain it. It's not something that you just wake up and get there. It is not easy. It is not a day job. So, Nigeria, Africa, for instance, we're sitting on potential that lack structure, lack development, lack leaders who could think beyond themselves. And I will give an instance. Lagos especially is a rapid growing estate with over 600,000 moving year in, year out, meaning housing demand will become more complex with time. And this is where my own area of specialization comes through. I was once a banker, but at a particular time, I look at the housing problem because I came from an abject poverty. When I say poverty, I'm talking about the real poverty. It is not a small poverty. People see these days, maybe fly, I have an office in UK, in South Africa, you come to Nigeria, they always think, oh, this guy was born with slippers. It is not easy. I went to Lagos State University. I live in Idimu. For those who live in Ireland, you know that Idimu in 1990, 1991 it's like a bush. I live in a bus quarter whereby, when it's raining, it's always terrible for me. I don't even have a space where I will put my leg or put my clothes. So it is not as easy. So one of the things that I said to myself is that, man, I have to do housing. I have to solve housing problem in Lagos. Despite the fact I read accounting in university, I also work in a bank. And immediately when the opportunity, present itself, I grab it. That, okay, this is because I've suffered when it comes to housing. I've lived in a place that when it's raining like this, there's no place to pack my clothes. There's no place, it's actually terrible then. So I have that vision that, okay, I'll be one of the guys that will solve the problem when it comes to housing. I started quite numbers of years ago with no money, and that is the truth of the matter. There's no real money. I just know that I have an uncle, I have a sister that I can talk to. Okay, you don't have a capital, but people that have a capital, can you tell your friends that I'm doing this? Tell them I can do an off plan. We all know what they call an off plan. When you just started building, you have not even dropped cement and everything, and you have started marketing people that please come and buy off plan. Off plan is always cheap than when you have finished it. I started my journey that way. I campaign myself. I do my marketing by myself. I was like a jack of all trades because there's not even money to employ people. So I have to do all these things. But like I said, vision is actually very, very important. We must have a vision, even when you get there. And that's why you see Otedola, Dangote, they've not stopped. They're still, the vision is still continuing. If you're conversant with the news, you see what he said some days ago. That is a vision. We must have a vision. We don't sit down and expect a government to do some certain thing for us. We must have a vision. So let me talk about one of the things that keep me going in my business is grow with people. And I joined late. I joined the program late, and I heard Sarah talking about the growth. How do you carry your staff along? How do you make sure they key to your vision? To be honest with you, it is not easy for you to see people that will key to your vision. They said charity begins at home, and you have to, as a leader, you must lead by example. You can't call your leader and you said your resumption time is 8 a.m. and you get to office by 10 a.m. You're already a failure. There's absolutely nothing you can do. A leader must lead by an example. It is when you lead by an example, the followers who happen to be your staff, yes, they will see, oh, this is, I in my office, for instance, I get to work at exactly 8 a.m. And most time I'm always the first person that gets to work. I have over 25 people that work in the admin. I have over 100 that work inside. And one of the things I do every day is that I don't just go to office and sit down. I have to make sure I go around, checkmate what they are doing and everything. I don't see it as if, oh, I have arrived. I'm now the group managing director. I have Mopo, I have very that followed me. I still continue doing what I'm doing because a leader must live by example. Then strategies do not implement themselves. Like I said, you don't just, think somebody, you just drop a strategy and you think, oh, your workers will just do those things for you. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to be, your present actually counts. You must know what you are doing. You must know exactly where you are going to and what you want. Because, when you employ people, many of them are just coming to come and work and get their salary and go. It's actually good to get salary and go, but you must make sure they key to exactly that vision that you have. And one of the things that can kill your vision is when you don't have, a good people working around you. And that's why training is actually very, very important. We must actually train our staff, and we must pay our salary on time. I've worked in a place whereby you don't get salary. End of the month, you will not get salary. The following month, the 15th of the following month, that is when you get half of the salary. I wonder how the kind of organization expects me to key to the vision of the managing director. So we actually need to be present in whatever we do. Over the year, I've learned the greatest investment a leader can make is not a land. Like I said, over the years, I've learned that the greatest investment a leader can make is not a land, not a machinery, but in people. Yes, people, our workers, they must share our idea. They must, we must let them know this is the plan, this is my vision. So we must inculcate our plan. We must change them. There's a way you can change people. To be honest with you, we have people that are lazy, that they don't want to do a lot of things, but we must change them. For us to be a leader, there are a lot of things we must change. We don't just go to school for ourselves alone. We go to school to be a leader. Being an educated person is not just for a selfish interest. It's not for only your family. It is to be a leader and serve people. We must learn how to serve people. It is actually very, very important when we are the leader. No man knows everything, but a leader must be discerning enough to find great mind, empower them, and trust them. A business becomes sustainable when it is people become capable. A business can only be sustainable when the people around you, the people that work for you, when they were capable. Even in your absence, you have trained them, they know what to do at exactly time. You don't tell an engineer that, okay, get to site 8 o'clock. He already know that he has to be at the site 8 o'clock. You don't tell your project manager that, oh, what is how many cement do I have the site? How many? They know exactly what they do. What it means is that you must have changed them. You must have invested on them, not in land, on machinery, on human being right now. People that work with you, we need to invest. Some of us, when we're leader, we talk to our people, that work with us anyhow. So do you know that some people call their staff, you are stupid, you are idiot? Those word doesn't come out from our mouth as a leader. You don't tell your staff and stupid person, most time we call them different names. We don't even see them as human beings. The way we treat them, it's uncalled for. These are the things for us to be a leader, an effective leader. We need to change a lot of things, and our containers also matter. We must be a good listener. When somebody knock your door, you want to see, sir, I want to see you. Please give him the 2-3 minutes. Let him express himself. And No man knows it all. You don't know the idea. You don't know what is bringing that it can actually be useful for you. So we don't see ourselves, oh, I'm now there because, many of us even use the word, you know, I get there. How did you get there? Do you know I'm here? Do you know who I am? Those are not good words from a good leaders. I don't want to start quoting Bible here, but the truth of the matter is that wherever we are, wherever we find ourselves, it is just the grace of God. Like I said, I came from an abject poverty. When I said abject, I actually use that word abject because it acts from abject poverty, where you wake up in the morning, you don't even know what to eat, and you don't even know what to do. So if you now find yourself, God decided to bless you now. Don't see it as if, oh, I've arrived, I'm there, you know. So these are dreamers and they are doers. Leadership is where the two meet. What I'm trying to say is that, okay, when you have a dream, you need people that are also a doer to make sure your dream is being accomplished. You can't do it on your own. For instance, now I'm a developer. It is difficult for me after this program. Now I'm going for a meeting. You can imagine going for a meeting alone without any help of the staff. Can I go to the site alone? Can I be a bricklayer myself? Can I be a painter? Can I be a carpenter? You cannot do it. So when you have a dream, you actually have people that can do it, that key to your vision, that are ready to work for you. You get it? So we actually need to work hand in hand. And I'm going to tell you some of the projects that I've done in Lagos. There's a project called A11. I remember when I started that project, it is not easy for me. I've done a series of Wonder Parkour 2 to Wonder Parkour 7. I have a project going on in Lekki now called AA Condo, because one of the things that I do as a developer is that when I travel out of the country, I don't just travel to go and take pictures. What I do there is see what is going on there and bring it to my home, because I believe charity begins at home. You can't call yourself a developer, and all you do when you go to Dubai, you go to US, you just take picture and come. What did you see there? What do you think that, oh, if I bring this thing to my country, oh, this is going to be useful? Let me quickly share a story with you. Like 3 years ago, I started a project. If you climb Ikoyi Bridge, if you're coming from Lekki, you're going to Ikoyi, one of the tallest building on the left-hand side, the water side. It's my project. So when I started that project, and I told my friend, I said, I went to South Africa, I stayed in an hotel, and I saw a swimming pool on the 11th, 13th story. I said, that's the wonderful that I want to, do the same in Nigeria. And the group of my friends that are developers said, oh, that is too expensive. How are you going to make the money and everything? And I said, no, money is actually good, but legacy is actually very, very important. I want a situation whereby my children who comes to Nigeria, they will enter a building and they will say, oh, this project was built by my dad. That's the legacy. It's not just for me to make money, buy a Rolls Royce, and I was, kind of making it loud in Lagos. Legacy is actually important. So I embark on this project, and you see my friend, it's as if one of them were looking for my downfall. That how can you go and put swimming pool on the 5th floor of this project? Behold, I actually did that project, and it's one of the fantastic projects in Lekki Phase 1. After I finish it, I know a lot of awards that people have called me. I know a lot of white people that said, so it is the Nigerian guy that did this. I have a suspended swimming pool, my gym, oversee Ikoyi Bridge and Banana Island. And that is one of the things that actually, expose me, give me a limelight. So we must have a vision. And when you have a vision, you must be ready to accomplish it. Just like a vision without television and to see it all is nonsense. You must have a vision that you see it like this and you must accomplish it. So it's one of the projects that give me, this kind of, oh, Mr. Bolaji, Mr. this, and glory be to God. I'm doing another one because after I finished that one, I said, oh, in the old Lekki, how come we don't have a basement? And some of my friends said, you want to do a basement again? I said, I'm going to do a basement parking. That when you travel abroad, you see basement parking. Why is it that in this Nigeria, we don't actually have a basement parking? Said, how much are you selling your property that you want? I said, I'm going to do it. Behold, I'm almost done with that basement parking in Lekki. And don't forget what Lekki is a water side. It's actually difficult, but this is the vision. This is what I said I want to do. Those things that I had, that is where I want to find myself, and that's exactly what I want to do. Right now, I'm almost finished with that, that basement parking. What it means that people can park their car on the ground, park on the ground park, then use the elevator to wherever you are going to. And that is one of the ideas I'm sharing with Lagos State government now, that if they can increase most of our density, where we're supposed to do a 3-floor, let's go to 10. Just mandate, tell the developer that, okay, do basement, 2 car park and everything. Once we have a car park, we can actually, do some high rises. But these are vision. It is not easy. It is not easy. I'm not going to come here and tell you, it's sweet and everything. It is not easy. At times I couldn't sleep. I can't close my eyes. But I just know that I'm going somewhere and I'm going to attain it. And most especially when you know that there's nobody that is ready to support you, no government, no bank, no anything. All this thing is just you and your office and everything. It just needs to keep on moving. We just need to keep on moving. Ladies and gentlemen, business development is not accidental. It is intentional. Great business are not built in comfort, but in decision, sacrifice, and strategy. The future belongs to leaders who can think, build, empower, and execute. Leaders who turn vision into development. Leaders who build people as they build empires. Leaders who look at Lagos, Nigeria, and Africa and say, there's something here, we can make more with it. Let me leave you with these 5 quotes on leadership. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. I've said it time without number here. We must have a leadership spirit and the capacity to translate it vision into reality. It is exactly what we needed as a youth in Africa. Our vision needs to count. Like I said, Dangote did not just started, with like 1 billion or 2 billion naira. They all have a story to tell. Mike Adenuga did not just started with 20 billion. They started, gradually, and this is where you are. And don't forget, the Bible say that the Lord that you serve in secret, He will reward you openly. There are things we just need to do. We need to put energy. We need to put strength. We need to think straight. These days, youth, we were actually, kind of division. When we're supposed to think straight, we're looking at the other side. Some of us were just, waiting that government is come to do everything. By now, before I was born, I'm close to 50. Before I was born, I've been hearing, it's going to be better. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Government is going to do it. It just showed that there's nothing good that is coming from the government. And because of that, once you know that, nothing good is going to come from this Israelite or Pharaoh, why can't you just be focused? Have your vision and look at the people that can share that vision and move forward. Using this opportunity to tell all of us, we are all leaders. I see great leader here that we can do it. People have done it before and they didn't stop. We can also do it. Leadership is unlocking people's potential to become better. We must have that spirit, the standing spirit. People that, guy, you are actually good in this. Can you do it this way? Can you do it that way? That's effective of leadership. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. It's actually very, very important. As a leader, we must try to learn. We must ready to learn. When people were talking, just be a great listener. Listen to people, adapt to their idea. At times, we're from different countries here. What is applicable in Nigeria might not be applicable in Sierra Leone. It might not be applicable in South Africa. And the same thing goes on. I have a business in South Africa. The way we do things in Nigeria is quite different from the way we do it in South Africa. The way we do it, they do it in United Kingdom is different. The way they do it in United States of America is actually different. But whatever I'm sharing with you now, this is my own experience. And this is the way I've been running my life. This is what I've been doing. That, once you don't have an helper, you you know, you look unto God, who is the great helper. Then you have a vision, and key to that vision. See, to be honest with you, they said the vision is an appointed time, even when it tarries. That is, in the Bible, it shows that God knows that it can be delayed. That your vision can be delayed, but we must actually wait for it. It can see most time, and let me also say this. Somebody was telling me a story that one of the most, drinks all over the world called 7 Up, that somebody started it. He called it 1 Up. He failed. He called it 2 Up. Failed. He run it third, fourth, fifth, and sixth time. And he shared the vision with his friend that, man, I've tried 6 times, though. This thing didn't work. Oh. And the friend said, why can't you do it once again? And he said, me, I'm tired. And that friend came and called it 7 Up. And today, it's all over. It's global. So most times, when we have a vision, when we are doing something, and it looks like it's not working, my brother, my sister, ladies and gentlemen, please don't succumb to it that it doesn't work. It's going to work. It's still going to work. I have failed time without number. As in, fail that without number. I now see the word failure. It's a just normal English language these days. As a matter of fact, failure is now a forerunner to my miracle, to things that are coming, because I now begins to see that if this thing doesn't go bad, then I can't correct myself. And most time, one thing we need to understand, some of us that are youth, is that if things are just going smoothly, I don't know how we want to appreciate God. If you just wake up, you just call this, you call that, everything is just, how are we going to know God is even existing? How are we going to appreciate God? So we shouldn't see failure as if it's the end of the world. Let's just see it as just an English language. We'll move on. You fail, ability to stand up again and rise and move on. Like I said, is always the forerunner to my own miracle. Then the key to success leadership today is influence, not authority. And that's why we need to make friends. We need to network. And that is one of the purpose of this meeting, to know one another. What do you do? We networking. It's actually very, very important. So most time it's not authority. It's all about influence. Leadership is action, not position.
Okay,
Is not position. So once again, I want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. And I say I'm not taking it for granted. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Afalabi. That was a wonderful and insightful section. Please, if you got value, can I hear you say value in the comment section? Thank you, Dr. Afalabi, for this wonderful time with us. And I learned a whole lot. There's a difference between mission and vision. Mission is more like where you are. Vision is what you are looking up to. And as well, as a good leader, you don't have to do everything. You should be able to raise people, that can do things in your absence. That is what a leader. You don't have to be your secretary. You have to be your legal advisor. You have to be your janitor, everything. So no, you should have people that will work even when you are not there. So this is time for question and answer. So if you have any question for Dr. Paul, kindly drop it in the comment section so you can just pick 1 or 2 questions. So do you have any question? Let me check the comments. Timmy, you could help me check the comment section in case if I've missed anyone. For any question for Dr. Afalabi. Okay.
Okay, so we have previous questions.
No question. Okay. Okay, we have a question from Jude. He said, I am a strategy analyst intern. I want to become an entrepreneur. Advise me on key things to focus on. Should I go over the question again?
Yeah, Jude. Let me quickly share this with you. I said I have 5 quotes on leadership, and I can assure you, if you can make use of these 5 things, it will actually be, good for you for whatever you want to do. I said number one, leadership is the capacity to translate vision to reality. It is actually very, very important to have a vision. Thank God you are a strategist, and that is a very good, very big word. A strategist. I have them in my company. As a matter of fact, they are one of the backbone in my company. I have people, where are we going to be in the next 10 years? I have 3 of them. They will come with their own idea, and I sit down and I we try to see how we can make it work. Like I said, leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. If you're there, can you write it down? And because of the time, if you can talk to me, probably we'll talk more. Number 2 is leadership is unlocking people potential to become leader. Number 3 is leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. I said number 4 is the key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. Why I said number 5, leadership is action, not position. These 5 things will actually answer your question. But if you think that you need my more input, you can get my details. Why we talk. I'm here for you.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. You can as well share your LinkedIn or account so we could connect with you over there, and then those that have more questions can then go ahead. Okay, it was quite an insightful section. Another take home is to be a good leader, you must be a good listener. You must be a dreamer as well as a doer. So this thing, you must have it as a good lesson. So thank you so much, sir, for your time. So I'll move on the mic to Timmy. Timmy, you can take over right away.
Thank you so much, Dr. Apolaji and Pascaline. That was a very powerful session. Honestly, I learned a lot. And I think it's its own because this particular speaker was talking about, the plight that Nigerians face and the challenges we face now as a country with our leader, especially when you're trying to be a leader in this kind of economy. So thank you so much, Dr. Apolaji. I learned a whole lot. Now, we'll be moving on to our break session. So while we're on break, please let's remember that participation is the key master key to the certification. So I know some of us here, I could see in the chat box, people asking for the attendance stick and all of that stuff. Actually, what is going to ascertain your certificate would be you staying, that is you participating in this program to the end. So while we'll be going on our break, I'd also like us to know that a short video about the Pan-African Youth Leadership Program Foundation will be played. So please do stay connected. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Thank you.
Good evening, Africa. It is the 7th edition of the Africa 100 League of Exceptionals, and it is happening right here in the heart of the motherland, Accra, Ghana. And welcome to you all, new visitors, returning visitors, residents.
Everything each one of you is doing in your space cannot be but talked about. And if your own input is taken out of what is going on in your countries, there is no future for Africa. You must know who you are and what you stand for. There is no developed first world nation that ignores Africa. It is because of the potential your country has gotten. Why are they coming if Africa is that bad? We are rich in resources: oil, gold, cocoa, creativity, culture, and courage. When Africa gets to a place, everybody remains quiet because we actually steal the show. Yet, for too long, our story has been told by others. It's time we stop being characters in someone else's book and start becoming the authors of our own African narrative.
Our individual brilliance means little if it does not ignite a collective transformation of our beloved continent. Our names on citations matter less than the footprints we leave on history.
Partnership and investment for African future. We must shift from aid to investment. We can't be asking people to be coming in to do things for us. I challenge all of us here to invest in women, partnership, and ensure that mutual prosperity and investment in women partnership at large.
We envision a united Africa, one that embraces its diversity, one that cherishes its culture, and ones that stand proudly on the global stage. We want an Africa that is self-sufficient, where our natural resources are not exported for the benefit of others, but are processed and transformed locally, creating jobs and opportunities for our youth. We want an Africa that invests in its youth. Our young people must be empowered through education, given opportunities, and provided with space to lead.
So welcome back, everyone. I hope we are now stretched. We've stretched our body, we are hydrated, and we all came back refreshed. If you are back, you kindly type "I am ready" in the chat box. I want to see our messages and our reaction. Okay. I am ready. I can see Oluwatosi. I can see Cadmus is ready. Felix is ready. Praise is ready. Okay, this is it. Wonderful. Thank you so much. That was a lovely break. I'm sure we are now refreshed. Now I'll be handing over to my co-host Pascaline to have the third speaker. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. You're all welcome back. For myself, I took water during the break. Okay, so let's move on to our next speaker. So our next speaker is Solasa Mungu. Sorry, I didn't get that name. Sorry, I'm so sorry, but Solisa Nkubeni, founder and CEO of Sutlux in South Africa. We'll be speaking on a vital topic for business leaders: financial discipline and resource management for business growth. If you don't have discipline to manage your resources, you may not go anywhere. So you are welcome, Mr. Solisa. You can take up the stage now. So sorry, I got your name so wrong. Hello, Mr. Solisa.
Hi, I'm on speaker.
Okay, you're welcome, sir.
Am I audible enough? Is everything fine? Everyone can see me, right?
Yeah, sure, we can see you and as well hear you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, depending where we are in the world. My name is Tolisam Kubeni, the founder and the CEO of Sutlux. Sutlux is a bespoke brand based in Johannesburg, South Africa. We specialize in bespoke suits, bespoke shirts, bespoke shoes as well. I want to start off, my topic today is about discipline, right? One of the things that I want to touch on as we start is the topic of discipline before expansion. Most of us are often quick to expand. Look, we understand we in entrepreneurship, we encourage growth. We encourage opening different structures, different business in different world, different province, or whatever you may think of. But I'm going to be speaking of my journey. And unfortunately, I won't be that long. I'll have to keep it a bit short because I made a mistake on my today's schedule. I planned my today's schedule based on South African time, only to find out that Nigeria is behind with 1 hour. So I will try to be quick and and short. What I want to touch on is when I started Sutlux, which is 9 years ago, time fly. Next year we're celebrating our 10th year. And there's a say that says most businesses, they don't make it past 5 years. So we've been grateful to be one of the business or brands that have made beyond 5 years. when I started Suitlux, maybe let me just give you a bit of a history of my family. So I come from a tailoring family. My grandfather was a tailor, grandmother a seamstress, my mother a seamstress. But however, I inherited the skill, not the business, because when I started Suitlux, it's not like I took over for my grandfather's company. My grandfather's company had already died in 1997, right? So I started from scratch with nothing, and a lot of people they make the financial aspect a reason why they're not progressing in business or why they're not starting. Everyone want to start at a beautiful office, CEO office. They want to start in a big building and all that. So what I would encourage on the discipline is that don't be afraid to start small and be honest with your finances. The reason why I'm saying that is when I started at my apartment. So I was in a 2-bedroom apartment using the other room as a fitting room and all that, and the tailoring and all that, using the other room for me to sleep. So I operated for quite a long time in my apartment, seeing clients consultation because working with strictly appointments. So I started off at my apartment and seeing clients, even when I felt that I'm ready now to commit to an office space or showroom space. I did take advantage of that situation to save up and to put the money aside so that when I find an office space for the new year, I'm able to pay the rent for the entire year, right? And we did that amazingly. And so one of the things also I want to stress on is that if you can't manage $1 or you can't run a $1 company, don't think it will be easy for you to run $1 million company. Usually we often think that, I remember I used to say, I'm praying for more clients, I'm praying for us to get more work and thinking things will get better. The more the business grows, the more it becomes stressful. That's the reality of it. So the problem is not so much of finance or about the capital, is the management of the capital, right? You can make something big out of something small. One of the things as an entrepreneur or a business owner that you need to be very strict with is tracking every dollar. Please make sure that you track every dollar that comes in, every dollar that comes out. You need to know how did you spend the money. It's a problem when you're unaware of what happened in your business. You're like, I can't see what I did with that $20, right? So it's very important for you to track every dollar. And I also normally say to people, you have to understand your cash flow better than you understand your playlist, right? Make sure that you are in touch with your books. It's the same thing if you want investors or you want to acquire money from the bank. The first thing that they want to do, they want to open your books. They need to see how clean are your books, and that will put on your advantage. They don't care how much you are making, but they also want to check on expenditure habits, you understand? So it's very important as well to understand that. And I'm going to base this on my field, which is fashion, and we make bespoke suits, right? Another thing that I started doing at that time, I was the only person, and I started employing people into the brand. And after employing people into the brand, I realized that I used the strategy of outsourcing than employing people. Am I speaking? Oh, okay. Cool. So I started outsourcing the services before I can hire permanent tailors, because what I was worried about was trying to manage the cash flow, because I wouldn't imagine whereby we sold only one suit and I've employed 10 tailors, how I'm going to pay those people. Then I came up with a strategy to say, I'm going to outsource before I can commit to employing people permanently, meaning that every tailor is paid based on how many garments they've made for that month. If we sold one, they're only gonna get payment for one, which is that brings the workload off my shoulders. So as we started doing that, that went well, and then you get to a point whereby the brand now is better and established. So we have to have permanent employees and all that. And then out of the 8 people we were outsourcing, we took 4 and made them permanent, because we're trying to manage the risk of ending up being behind with salaries and all that. So that's another strategy that I used a lot in my brand. And another thing that I want to touch on is managing resources strategically. It's very important to manage resources. And usually as entrepreneurs or business people, we think resources is money. That's not the case. Money is not the only resource, right? People are the resources. Brand strong image or brand reputation is the resource on its own, right? Your brand needs to communicate to people before you can even say anything. That's why we, as fashion people, we invest a lot on photo shoot, website, and we make sure that we do things that are going to appeal to people to believe in a brand and like the brand before they can even purchase something from us, right? And then I want to also quote this. There's some nice quote that I wrote down, which says, growing a business requires you to take every resource with maximum respect. Make sure that you respect the client. And often people come to our brand, and I realize that it's not only about the garment, it's how we make them feel when they come to our showroom. So that on its own is discipline, and it's an investment, because the word of mouth, those people are able to spread the word out there to say there's a brand that provides this, and they make you feel like a king when you go there, regardless whether you are a prominent figure or you're just an ordinary citizen. But when you leave their premises, you actually feel important about that. Okay, something's distracting me there with that. Okay, but we'll move also. One of my favorite thing I normally say to people, as an entrepreneur, you really need to be in touch with your brand. You really need to be in touch with your brand. And I wrote something around build with data, not with emotions. Most people do start business out of emotions, but emotions, they don't grow the brand. Data is the one that grows the brand. So one of the things that we want to, I always emphasize people that you have to look at. This other time I was at the fabric stores, and I bumped into one of my friends who's in the same industry with me, and he was really complaining about winter being a slow month for his business, and he was asking me, how are things going? And I'm like, things are going pretty fine. And I'm like, why is winter a slow business for you? He's like, I don't understand. It just became slow. And I was saying to him, and I was saying to him, that means you're not in touch with the business, or you're not in touch with your industry. For example, in South Africa, there are not so many weddings happen in winter. South Africans, they don't really like getting married around winter. They want the greenery in summer and spring and all that. And I was telling him that it's simple. We have to pay attention on the seasonal movement, which is in winter, we know as Suitlax that our biggest clientele is weddings. And if weddings are not happening, what's happening? So we had to factor in that in winter, we drop winter range, which is your long warm coats that keep the business running. And I was just telling him that you need to pay attention. I mean, in summer, in winter, you are preparing for your summer range. So that's one of the things that is important. And another thing that I like with being in touch with the business, you become in touch with your finances in a manner of you need to create savings account. As you may know, in business, we can make so much money the past 2 months, and then the next 2 months, it might be a slow month. It might be a slow business. And that's where people panic to say, this thing is not working out, should I close or not? But if you study the patterns of your business, you will know that there's dry season for your industry, there's peak season for your industry. And I often stress this to people to say, in your peak season, on the month that you have maximized on your sales and you have made or recouped so much money, please make sure that you save for rainy days. I'll give you a scenario that we went through in August this year. So in August, in our showroom, unfortunately, we had a break-in. That break-in, they took a lot of things. They took 25 suits, 25 pairs of shoes. They took the TV screen that I use for presentation. They took the receptionist laptop. They took a lot of things that that amount to almost $500,000, right? And I can imagine if I didn't have an account for rainy season that I put money on, for that month of August, I was not going to be able to pay the workers, basically. But what saved me is that on the peak season that we have throughout, we make sure that we save up for rainy days. So you don't say this month I doubled what I normally make monthly, and then therefore the what you call the extra money, then you're going to use, you go to buy something for your personal use. You have to put that money on a rainy savings. And one of the things that also that we want to touch and that you have to teach yourself at the beginning stage of your business. A lot of people, we make a mistake of thinking that we have to make your things right with taxman when you're making a lot of money. You start being disciplined now and make sure that, you know, when this amount, X amount of money comes in, certain percentage doesn't belong to me, it belongs to the taxman, you know. So that's why we end up having people having their business account being frozen because of they owe taxman this much and all that. You start owing now and you think you're getting used to this thing of bypassing the system. So make sure that you fix your books. That will help on being in good standing with taxman. That will help you be in good standing should someone want to invest in your brand. At least you have clean books. You are a legitimate business that can be fundable and bankable, right? And one of the things I would want to stress today is you have to separate yourself from the business. You don't use business money for your personal use. Make sure that you put automatical systems to pay yourself salary monthly. You need to know how much you're earning from the company, and you use that money so that you know that this is my budget. If I finish my salary, I don't have money for the rest of the month. You don't finish your salary and then you go to your bank account, your business bank account, and transfer money to your personal account to use it for personal use. So make sure that you separate yourself from your business. You get your salary, you use that for your personal use. When it's finished, you're gonna be broke for the remainder of the month like anyone else who's working. So that's very important to put in mind, that you have to separate yourself from your company. And then I want to touch on the CEO part, right? I think somebody touched on this thing when we're in Rwanda, and I really like the thing, right? A CEO who lacks discipline cannot lead a disciplined organization. Remember, your workers, they follow your steps. So you have to lead by example. You have to instill discipline to your team. You have to instill discipline to everyone that you work with, and you have to lead by example. So that's very important. And your team follows your example. Your system reflects your behavior. Whatever is happening in your brand, good or bad, it's because your discipline or your habits or your behavior, that's the reflection of that. If you're behaving well and you are disciplined, you will see the results through your business. You see your results through the growth of your brand, you know. So that's very important as well. And your system reflects your behavior. Your finance reflects your decision making. So that's one of the things that I want to stress on, and that you need to understand that your finance reflect your decision. The reason why there's a decline in your sales, there's a decline on whatever, it's simply because the decisions that you're taking are not right. So it's very important to remain financial discipline and be able to separate yourself from the business and make sure that you take decision that benefits the brand or your company at most. And then also there's some things that I wanted to touch on, which is, I think I wrote something down here. Cash flow is the oxygen of every business. If the business doesn't have oxygen, the business will eventually die. And the biggest mistake we make as entrepreneurs or business owners, we think it takes a day or a week for a company to die. A company, one thing about a company, the same way it takes time to build a company, sometimes it's the same way it will take long for it to die. So if you don't manage your finances well and you don't put your money in right places, or you're not reinvesting in your brand, is mostly likely to collapse. And you might think you're doing well because it's not going to collapse overnight. It will take probably 4 years, but it's constantly declining. So it's very important that you take care of the finances. And the other thing that I want to stress, I learned this at the very early stage of building my brand, is there's no company that is too small to acquire professional help. This is a mentorship, this is accountant, this is an attorney or a lawyer. So you have to train yourself while the brand of the company is still new. You have to attend these things. Most of us would think, I'm only going to need accountant when I have a lot of money. It starts you needing an accountant. I mean, there will be the accountants, they price you based on the scale of your business. So don't be scared to reach out to accountants. Don't be scared to reach out to your lawyers to draft contracts and so on and so forth. So those are the things that we normally look at. These are the things I'm going to start attending when my company is big and I'm making so much money. So I want to stress that it's very important discipline you start at the beginning of your brand, and make sure that you get in touch with such people like accountants, professionals, to help you to equip your brand to be a professional and a reputable brand. And I think because of time, as I had indicated, that I don't have much time, I made a mistake with South African time zone, with Nigeria time zone. So my schedule was based on South African time zone. I made a mistake, and I'm sorry with that, but I'm glad that I am able to share the little that I could share with you guys. And it's an honor to be part of this. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solisa. It was an insightful section with you, and I learned a lot. I learned that the bigger the business becomes, the bigger the risk. And you have to put, strategies to manage the risk, especially when it is growing big. And then you can inquire for the services of an accountant, professional accountant, a lawyer, as the case may be. So you don't just have to do it all alone. And also, when you are starting up, you don't need to start employing people when you don't have the financial capability yet. So you can actually outsource. So with time, you can then, make them permanent staff as time goes on. Okay, guys. So it's time for question and answer. Do you have question for Mr. Solisa before we move on? Who has question for him on how to financially manage your businesses? He also asks us to separate our business from ourselves. Pay yourself salary and don't eat from your business. Okay, so who has questions for him? He's waiting. Okay, you can drop your question in the comment section, okay? Please drop your question in the comment section, please. Drop your questions in the comment section. You have just 2 minutes to do that. Kindly drop it. Okay, because if we start allowing people to unmute, it will be noisy, and it won't be so good. So we appreciate you drop the questions in the comment. I will take it from there. Okay, so Mr. Solisa, we have a question for you here. Mohammed is asking, how can one be financial discipline towards business in leadership aspects? Let me take the question again. How can one be financial discipline towards business in leadership aspects? This question is coming from Mohammed.
I know that's a great question. That's a great question. And like I said when I started, and it's very important to seek help. And it's very important that you find yourself in a group of people who have done this before you. It's very important. You don't really have to suffer the same way the person before you had suffered. I'm someone who learns a lot from people who have done what I'm doing before, and analyzing where they made mistakes, or what could have they done, or what I can take in that and then implement into my brand. So what I would say to that question is, make sure that you you surround yourselves with people in the same space. You guys create a group about how do you deal with this matter and that. And also the other thing that will help you is attending these sessions. Maybe if you know you struggle with discipline, try to focus more on topics that speaks about discipline, and you learn there. And unfortunately, not everything works for everyone. What worked for me might not work for you, but it's very important to put this into use. And one of the things that I want to emphasize there is that the problem that we as entrepreneurs or coming up entrepreneurs, we attend a lot of these and we do like a lot of listening, and we never go back to our brands to practice at least one of the things that we learn from the session. So it's very important that on the lessons that you're going to get today or in future when you attend a financial discipline seminar or whatever, try to implement one or two. You don't have to implement all the strategies, but try to implement one minimally, of course, managing the risk so that you see if it works for your brand or your company or it doesn't work. So it's very important to surround yourself with people in the same industry or in the scope of entrepreneurs.
Okay, thank you so much. It's not like learning from other people's experience. You do not have to experience that before you learn. Okay, so Praise here has question for you as well. He said, how do you manage business and family at an early stage? Because at early stage of business is normally volatile. So he's not asking, how do you manage it? How do you manage business and family at an early stage?
Did you say, how do you manage business and what?
How do you manage business and family at an early stage? Maybe he's talking about trying to use the business money to run the family, and how do you do that?
Okay. Yeah, it's that's a very good question. It's very difficult when you are actually starting, but you will eventually get there. But what I would say is that how you manage that, I think what helped me, I didn't commit into a lot of things. So manage your commitment at the early stage. Like I said, don't commit on salary. That will help you to have a bit little of money to be able to take care of yourself, because you're not paying someone salary, pay them based on the job that they do. So outsourcing and all that, because having people sometimes permanently, it can be costly. So at the early stage, honestly, I struggled with that, but it got better with time because I attended like a lot of seminars and say, how can I manage the cash flow, where to put the money and manage the risk, and I think that's it's something that you cannot escape. It's a difficult thing. You just have to go and see through it. But it's very important that you don't overcommit into a lot of things at the beginning, you understand? So make sure that you are reinvesting into the brand. You're not using your money a lot for your personal use. Of course, you, as someone who's starting the business, running the business, you have to look after yourself, because you need to be happy first, and you need to be fit to be able to lead and run the brand. So I would say you can look after the family, but manage it. Make sure that the bigger goal is reinvesting into the brand. In future, you will appreciate the reinvestment because they will come up in better and bigger. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. So Ruth has a question. Ruth is asking, seeing that we are in a digital world, and this is the last question for you, seeing that we are in a digital world, does location really matter in order to become successful in a business? Let me take it again. Seeing that we are in a digital world, does location really matter in order to become successful in a business? Since we can market businesses online, so location should still be a problem?
That's a great question as well. I think location will always matter, but the digital world made it better for us. I will just use an example. We are based in South Africa, Johannesburg, and we're one of the established tailoring brand in South Africa. And I started getting a little bit of traffic from the neighboring countries, which is your Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe, right? And because I'm someone who's in touch with his business, I then said, okay, I realized that we're getting a lot of traffic from the neighboring countries, but there's one problem. As much as digitally we have proven ourselves. People, they see our work and they like the product, but we still had some groundwork to do, whereby I then decided to make a tour into the neighboring countries, because I realized that we get so many inquiries from the neighboring countries, but the sales, they're not reflecting the inquiries. And I realized that as much as we live in the digital world, the digital has affected the trust, right? A lot of people online, they advertise what it's not real, they advertise what they don't sell. So as much as we live in the digital world, there's a groundwork that we need to do as people. If you want to tap into the Nigerian market, maybe it could be an idea to advertise a month prior and go do a pop-up store in Lagos, for example, right? So that people see that this is a real person, our orders can really arrive. This person has been here before. So we did that with Namibia 3 years ago. I took a trip and then I announced a month prior, and I went to Namibia. And I want to tell you today, in a month, we are not exporting less than 20 suits to Namibia. Right, so not less than 20 suits. So as much as we're living in the digital world, there's still a groundwork that we need to do, because there are people who believe in seeing and touching. So we have to meet the digital world halfway.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So more like, because of the issue of scammers online, so we just need to, bring about both the digital world and the physical world together. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Solisa. That comes to the end of his program, and thank you all for asking your question. I'm so sorry if you did not get your question answered. We are going to have a panel section where you can get all your questions answered. So Timmy, you can take up the stage now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pascaline, and thank you, Mr. Solisa. That session really reminds us that leadership without discipline eventually collapses. Now, we've talked about transformation, we've talked about strategy and financial discipline, but there is another layer that determines how all of this works in real life, and that layer is emotions. So you know what they say, we save the best for the last. Okay, I'm just joking. Every speaker we've had here are very wonderful speakers, but right now we'll be having our final session, which will be taken by Mr. Wale Adekoya. Our final speaker is Wale Adekoya, founder of the Leadership Channel and an expert in human capacity development. He'll be speaking on emotional intelligence as a tool for effective leadership, one of the core skills every modern leader must possess. Please, with a round of reactions, join me as we welcome Mr. Wale to take his session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody is doing awesome today. It's morning for me. I'm currently on Central Time. Woke up like 3 a.m. to join this session. So I listened to some of our speakers already. Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for all speakers, especially the last two speakers I joined like an hour ago. And I think it's been awesome. It's been awesome because they already said some of the things I will be talking about. So I hope everybody actually wrote some great stuff down and ready to execute. I'm truly honored to be here, sincerely, and I want to appreciate our convener, Dr. Salako Debowale. Thank you very much for the invite. When I look at this specific room, I don't just see young leaders. I see future funders. I see senior executives. I see CEOs. I see decision makers in nations across Africa, people who will lead teams, build institutions, and shape communities. I want to thank you for your interest in leadership, because this is truly who you are. You are a leader. You are a leader. Whether you have a position or not, you are a leader. That's what you represent. And the first step is to start having the interest, learning, unlearning, and relearning, always looking for ways to get better. Because when the leader gets better, everything gets better. So, and That's what today's conversation is going to be all about. And that's why today's topic is very critical: emotional intelligence as a tool for effective leadership. And I like the last part, effective leadership. Not every leadership system you see is effective. And who determines the effectiveness of the leadership is the leader. And that's why I love the way John C. Maxwell put it, that everything rises and falls on leadership. Sometimes people ask questions about that statement. What does that really mean? Oh, John Maxwell said, everything rises and falls on leadership. And that's what it is. And that's the final statement. I believe it. I'm an executive partner on this program globally, and we've met several leaders, board members, executives, CEOs, government leaders, and we've seen stuff when it comes to leadership. And I want you to know that you are actually at the right place, because leadership today is not failing because people lack ideas. It is failing because people lack emotional capacity, emotional strength, emotional weight. And what happens within determines what happens without. Sometimes you see people in suit, you see people look, so powerful, and you see them at the top, you wonder, wow, one day I will get there, right? But unfortunately, when you sit down with them in the room and they open their mouth, you wonder, oof, how did you get there? How have you managed to get to this place? I've seen that many times in Africa. And I've wondered, I've questioned, I've challenged. And I think it is important for us to start a conversation where we are. Thanks to our moderator, what she said about why this conversation is very critical, especially this topic on emotional intelligence. So let me say this, and I like to say what I said again. Most leadership failures are not intelligence problems. They are emotional problems. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because you can be smart, because I know we like the word smartness. You can actually be smart and still lose in leadership, especially if you are leading a team, let's say a small team or a big team. You can be smart and still lose your team. You can have vision, great vision, and still fail to execute in leadership. You can have authority, position, and still lack great influence. Because there are many people who have positions today who don't have permission into the heart of people. Position leadership gives you the ability to lead people, is an opportunity to lead people, but permission into the heart of people is what you build intentionally. And one of the fundamental skills that leaders must pay attention to is emotional intelligence, because it doesn't happen by accident. It has to be built. We have to learn to become. This is one of the areas I struggled when I, started leading small teams, and then moved to big teams. And until 2020, and after studying leadership for 20 years, led people, coached, senior leaders, executive CEOs, and I came to a conclusion that leadership is the ability and the capacity to influence people to do what they thought they couldn't do, with a sense of purpose and vision. When I wrote down that definition, it took a lot out of me. And John Maxwell said that people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. So today we're going to focus on why people, how you can get into the heart of the people. Let me rephrase that. How you can get into the heart of people. And what you need to do as a leader for people to buy into your vision. So you need to have the capacity. You already have the ability, okay? But you need to have the capacity, and you cannot have the capacity without building the capacity, because you have the ability to build the capacity to be emotionally intelligent. That informs me that leadership is first emotional before it is logical. Many people are rolling on logic, but you cannot lead effectively if you are not emotionally alert. You know, I've worked with organizations where everything looks so perfect, everything looks so beautiful, you know, all around you. On paper, things look so great. The strategy was solid, the fundamentals were great, the market was even clear for them. And the people were talented. I've been to several organizations like that, yet performance was dropping. Why? So here's the thing. Many times we stop looking at reports. And that's what I do many times. And that's the same thing I did in one of these organizations. I stopped looking at the report and started listening to the people in the organization. And here is one of the things I have discovered in leadership. People stop speaking up in meetings because their ideas probably were shut down too quickly. Please, I want you to imagine this. Imagine managers avoided giving feedbacks because past conversations turned defensive. High performance did not even, they didn't resign immediately. They disengaged first, because people don't leave first. They first disengage, productivity dropped, and then people leave because employees or performance, high performance, they don't stay in places where things are not working the way they should work. And who determines the environment, the climate, the systems within the organization? The leader. And when I use the word leader, I want you to pay attention to that. I'm talking about people who have positions. And remember, you don't need the position to become a leader, okay? Because if the position does not exist, you can create one. That's what entrepreneurs do. They create. They are always in the business of creation every time. So strategy was not the problem in my discovery. Something was wrong with the emotional climate. So when I look around, I began to listen to people. The leader was not really a bad person. He was not intentionally creating the problem. He was simply unaware of how his behavior landed on the people, especially under pressure. See, what brings out the true you is when you are under pressure. It's not when things are going great. In fact, leaders are not needed when things are so going perfectly, everything is smooth, you know, everything is growing. Leaders are needed when there is a need to make decisions, because leadership is responsibility. It's not about having the most beautiful office or sitting down on the best chairs. You know, I've heard what one of our speakers said about how he went out to build as a developer intentionally due to responsibility, because responsibility is the ability to respond to situations. You have the ability, but responding requires you to understand some fundamentals, which I'm going to give you in a moment. Very critical, and I want to encourage you to please pay attention to this, because I don't really have much time. Simon, one of I'm hearing myself. Simon Sinek, one of the best leadership experts in the world, says something that leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge. And that word care is the most important thing, because that care is emotional before it is operational. There are 5 pillars in every business, and I think I've heard some of our speakers mention 2 or 3 of them. You have your sales, you have your marketing, you have your operations, you have your financial flow, and you have your strategic leadership. Now, before you talk about all these 5 pillars, or before you become really successful in all these 5 pillars, you must understand emotional intelligence, because care is emotional before it is operational. Emotional intelligence is often misunderstood. You know, when we hear emotional intelligence, many times people think it's about being soft, or it's not about avoiding, it's not about avoiding tough conversations, or it's not about being liked. That's what most people think about. But emotional intelligence is about awareness and choice. You know, from my work with leaders in leadership development and organizational change, I've discovered that emotionally effective leaders consistently show strength in 4 areas. And I want to give you those 4 areas quickly. I'm going to be very, very, very fast. Number 1 is self-awareness. And what does that really mean? Knowing yourself. It means knowing how you show up. Because every leadership journey begins with self-leadership. You know, in 2020, I created a framework, scalable leadership framework. It has 5 levels. It's scaling leadership across organizations, teams, nations. And the first level talks about leading yourself, because you cannot lead others and equip others effectively if you have not led and equipped yourself effectively. That's where everything starts from. And the number 1 skill that you must learn effectively at that level, the first level, and nobody graduates from that level. Nobody, no matter who you are in the world, nobody graduates, because what you know about yourself right now determines how you lead yourself today. So every leadership journey begins with self-leadership. You cannot, please underline can't. You cannot grow yourself if you don't know yourself. Most people don't know who they are. They don't know themselves. They have not come to the reality of today, that this is my reality. Now, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you went through self-assessment to assess your current state, your growth level, to know where you are currently, in order to grow yourself and become a better person? Because you can't really fix what you don't know. You can't. You can't go to a doctor and just ask the doctor to give you medicines without first understanding your current state. And this is one of the things we do in executive coaching systems. This is one of the most common problems I see in leadership. Most people want to lead people without first knowing them. You cannot lead people effectively if you don't know them or understand them. You can't. You can't lead them from your place. You have to lead them from where they are. So you need to first know them. And that is why you need to know you, understand you, before you can know people or understand people, because you can't give what you don't have. The same system that works for you is the same system you are going to scale to help others. So before you lead and equip others, you must first lead and equip yourself. Remember that pressure exposes your leadership level. So if you think, oh, I've grown so much, pressure will expose you, okay? I've been there many times. You find yourself in situations where you can't control your emotions. You don't know what to say. You don't know when to keep quiet. You don't know when to listen. You don't know when to respond. Most leaders react instead of them responding. You know, I once coached a senior manager who kept losing strong team members. His explanation was very simple. During the coaching sessions, he said people can't undo pressure. And I asked, what does that mean? So he said, when I listened to them, I realized that they can't undo pressure. That was his conclusion. That was his meaning. And that was his interpretation. But when we listened to his team, a different picture emerged completely. Please listen to this. I discovered that when deadlines were tight, he interrupted the people. When lack of clarity within the team were challenged, his tone changed. He couldn't undo it because he doesn't know how to receive feedback. When mistakes happened, he became sharp and impatient. He's so sharp and impatient, yelling at the people because he was the boss, right? He was in charge. Nobody cares about how much you know until they know how much you care. He didn't notice it. Everyone else did, okay? Because everybody saw the blind spot. We all have blind spots. And many times our blind spots is the place where we are emotionally bankrupt. Once he became aware of these patterns, because there are 3 types of patterns: pattern recognition, I call it pattern discovery, and pattern usage, and then pattern creation. Okay, we're not going to talk about that today. But here's the thing. It was a pattern for him. He never discovered the pattern because life is in patterns. There are things we do repetitively every day in business, in life, every day in families, even in nations. It affects everything we do. So he never recognized the pattern, but people saw it. Meetings became safer for teams when the leader creates the enabling environment for them. Sometimes, I just sit down in meetings with my leaders and I just shut down, listening to them. All I do is just listen to them. I say nothing. You know why? Because many times I just like to understand where they are coming from, why they say what they say, in order to help. Sometimes I just ask questions. There are many answers in my head. Sometimes I feel like saying something. But if you are emotionally aware of your environment, that will definitely help you to know when to talk and when to keep quiet. Leadership pressure does not change who you are. Please take note of this. It reveals who you are, because you cannot lead others well if you do not first understand yourself. So number 2, emotional regulation. So remember, number 1, self-awareness, and number 2, emotional regulation. What does that mean? It means staying steady under pressure, because pressure will come. In leadership, pressure will come. There will be a time to make decisions. Leadership will test you. That is guaranteed. 1000%. It will test you. And deadlines will be missed. So whether you are leading a small team or a big team, for example, if you have a family, if your family is your small team, right? Deadline will be missed. People will make mistakes because you make mistakes as well. And plans will fail. So all these things are going to happen. Unfortunately, emotionally unintelligent leaders will react in these situations. But what do we need to do as leaders? We need to be emotionally intelligent enough as leaders to respond. Okay? I worked with an executive one time, whose finance team made a costly error, serious error. His first instinct was to confront them publicly. He wanted to confront them publicly and, create that public scene. So instead, he returned back to himself. He was self-aware of the situation. He paused and he chose to have the conversation in a private way. Tough conversation. in a private way. He discovered, no, this conversation is not a public one. He was emotionally aware. So the issue was corrected and trust was preserved. And things changed completely for the organization. So people don't expect leaders to be perfect. Don't think, oh, people expect you to be so perfect in every way or in all your ways. They expect leaders to be steady. It is your responsibility to be steady. And it doesn't on you, okay? It doesn't jump on you. It's just like talent. Talent is raw, but you have to develop it. Talent is raw. You have to develop it. What does that mean? You have to create value out of your talent that you can turn to money. So people don't expect you as a leader to be perfect. Be real. Be real with them. People know if you are real, and people know if you are faking it. They know. They are not just telling you. They know. Behind you, they are saying something. But you know what? Keep it real. Help them to grow. Calm leadership, that's what I call it. Create clarity, and clarity builds confidence. Number 3, social awareness. I'm trying to move fast because of the time I have. Social awareness. Number 3, please write this down. This is very critical. What does this mean? This means reading what is not said. Most leaders are not great in reading what is not said. They only focus on what people are saying. But can I tell you something? Great leaders do not just listen to words. They pay attention to energy, silence, and patterns. They are very observant. They are listening. They are observing, and they are paying attention to people. I remember one time, one of our senior managers was very sick. She was on the call with me, with a group, but she didn't tell anybody that she was sick. But I paid close attention to her. She was silent during the call. Normally, she would share ideas. She was silent. And I wondered, something must be wrong. I was expecting her to share some thoughts in some areas, but she kept quiet. Because she was coughing, she didn't want to say anything. So immediately after the call, I sent her a message. I had one-on-one with her. And I asked her, how you doing? Sometimes people just want you to ask them the question, how are you? Okay. I grew up in an environment whereby I didn't receive that. So it was hard for me to get to that state, to get to the level whereby I can observe people and then ask them, how are you? When was the last time you asked people around you, how are you? Now, I'm not saying asking them that question because you want to get something, from them. But you are asking them sincerely, how are you? And she said, I am not fine. I said, talk to me. What's going on? She told me everything. See, people won't open up to you if they don't trust you. So the first thing is you need to get into their hearts before you can get into their head. You need to first ask for a hand. If you want to get into their hands, don't first ask for the hand. Many times leaders ask for the hand. Let me rephrase that. Leaders ask for the hand without first touching their heart. You have to first touch the heart before you ask for the hand. So in one organization, I remember, I want to quickly say this, the leadership believed so much that everything was fine because no one was complaining. Everything was perfect. The books were great. And, everybody was coming to work, coming early, and things were just moving. But interestingly, things were not really working the way they should be working within. Because gradually, people were disappearing. People were leaving the company. Productivity was seriously dropping in the company. Our meetings were becoming so quiet. People were not talking. And that was when the leader reached out to me. He said, people were not just talking. People are not talking in our meetings. I don't know what's going on. And I told him, I said, we need to visit one of our models. We call it ADAPT model. The first thing on that model in analyzing, whatever that is going on in the situation, we call it system alert. Then I called him. I said, you know what? This is emotional. This is an emotional signal. All right. So because this engagement speaks before resignation does. And leaders who understand people emotionally respond early, not after damage is done. So you cannot lead people you do not know and understand. I discovered that this leader never knew his people. He would just come into office, that kind of boss stuff when you come in and everybody's saying, yes, sir, yes, sir. I know we love that in Africa. Hey, boss, yes, sir. Right? Hey, you need to get out of your parking lot, get out of your office and walk up to the people. Know where they are and lead them from where they are. Pour into those who are leading different branches. Pour into them. Know your leaders. Spend time with them. Invest time with your top leaders so that they can continue to also pour the same thing into other people across the organization. People do what people say. Number 4, relational influence. Relational influence. And what does that mean? It means leading without force. Leading without force. Now, I mentioned something that position is an opportunity for you to lead the people, but you need to get into their hearts through permission. Are people following you because they have to, or are they following you because they want to? There's a difference. People follow you because they have to. Why? Because you have a position, you have the authority, you determine their paycheck. So they have to follow you. But you need to move from people following you because they have to into people following you because they want to, because you have permitted them into your heart through your care and your influence. Leading without force. This is where emotional intelligence becomes a true leadership tool. Why? Because leadership is not about control, it's not about manipulation, it is about trust, and trust produces influence. People will not give you their best if they don't trust you. And why are you not giving your best where you are today? Maybe because you don't trust the people you follow. And if you don't trust them, you won't permit them to come into your life. You'll be very quiet and you will keep it short. But when you get to some environment, you open up, right? Why do you open up? Because of trust. Why do you trust your bank? Do you know the CEO of the bank? Do you know the owner of the bank? Why do you trust the bank? Because the bank has systems around them. And you have seen their track record that they have done this over and over again. And they are open. They give you all the details. You see what is going on. You see everybody doing their work. You can go to the branch in Lagos, go to the branch in Johannesburg, go to the branch in Accra. You can see all those things going on. So yeah, I can trust this bank. And you put your money there without knowing the CEO. Trust is fundamental. And research shows us, research support this. I read about this company, Amadore, an Italian Afri-food leader. They studied multiple production sites within their company, and they discovered that leaders' emotional intelligence scores predicted 76% of employees' engagement levels. So the management level determines what happens within the team. So teams led by emotionally intelligent leaders, please listen to this, were more engaged and more productive, according to their research. 76% of employees engagement level. And this is not theory, this is data. So if you are leading a team today or you are leading a group of people, it is important for you to be aware of the people you are leading. And you cannot start by first being aware of the people. In fact, you won't do it successfully if you don't know yourself first, and starting with you. Another example is one company that I call, that is called Merck, M-E-R-C-K, a global pharmaceutical company. After introducing emotional intelligence training for leaders, Merck recorded 25% increase in employee engagement within 1 year. 1 year. That is magic. That is explosive. Collaboration, improved, conflicts reduced, because that, of course, there will be tension, but you should avoid tension becoming conflict. Innovation increased within the team. That was not a magic. Why? Because leaders simply learn how to understand people better. When they understand people better, they lead people better. So why this matters today, as a roundup, as young leaders across Africa and beyond, wherever you are today across the world, the future will not reward loud leadership. Many people are loud in leadership. True leadership is not being loud. It's not being the smartest in the room. It's not being the loudest in the room. It will reward emotionally mature leadership. When you are emotionally mature, you will lead people well. When you are emotionally matured, you will help people to become better. Everybody is asking the question, wherever they are in the world today, can you help me? Can I trust you? Can you support my next level? Everyone you lead today, they are asking that question. I mean, those questions. Wherever you are working today, or whatever position you find yourself, if you are following some people today, you are also asking those questions. Can you help me? Can I trust you? Can you support my next level? Trust is fundamental in every form of leadership. So let me leave you with a simple question. As your vision grows, is your emotional capacity growing with it? And here's the truth. Emotional intelligence does not replace strategy. Okay? It makes strategy to work. It helps your strategy to work. So what emotional intelligence, when your emotional intelligence trust grows, when emotional intelligence grows, trust grows. When trust grows, influence grows. And when influence grows, leadership becomes highly effective. Thank you very much.
Okay. So thank you so much.
Thank you
Mr.
very much, Mr. Adekule. Very great presentation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. That was a very wonderful session. And emotional intelligence truly shapes how leadership is felt and not just said. I learned a whole lot in that session. So just a few things that I learned. Number one, leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge. And two, every leadership journey begins with self-leadership. So you cannot lead others when you've not learned how to lead yourself. And you cannot grow yourself if you do not know yourself. Lastly, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. That was a wonderful session once again. So please, I have two announcements for all our participants. Number one, when the certificate link is dropped, please kindly ensure you fill your name correctly as you would like it to appear on your certificate. And then number two, we have a live poll. So you just have to click on the chat box. We're having a live poll session very soon. I just wanted to bring your awareness to that. Thank you. Now, we'll be moving into a deep dive session with Mr. Wale Adekola, where we'll be going a bit deeper into practical leadership realities. So to warm us up, I'll start with two questions from the chat box. I'm sure some of us have questions for Mr. Wale. Kindly drop them in the chat box as we've been doing. And then after taking two questions from the chat box, we'll go into a more personal leadership experience with Mr. Wale. Thank you. Please, I want to see our reactions. I want to see our reactions on this meeting. Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Wale, please, we have one question from Fofana. I hope I got your name correctly. So it says, that was an inspiring presentation, sir. And my question is, how does emotional intelligence influence long-term organizational success? How does emotional intelligence influence long-term organizational success? Thank you, sir.
Emotional intelligence, how it affects long-time organizational success.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, from my work with organizations across different sectors, long-term success does not come from strategy, alone. Many times we talk strategy, right? So great question. Thank you for that. It comes from leadership capacity that can sustain people, systems, and results over time. And it is something that is intentionally built. And that's exactly what the Scalable Leadership Framework actually addresses, one of the frameworks that we built. So let me be direct. There are many answers to that, but I'll give you just one. Emotional intelligence sustains leadership capacity. And when leadership capacity is not built, when the organization is not intentional about investing in their leaders, that organization is not ready for the future. It's not ready for legacy. It's not ready to create sustainable growth. And that's what we call leading beyond you. Say, emotional intelligence determines 3 things, okay, and can also affect 4 things. Let me just give you those 3 things real quick, and I'll end it. Number 1, how much pressure leaders can handle. People have to be trained. You can't assume that people are growing by themselves. No, you have to intentionally train them and point to them. Sometimes leaders are afraid people are going to leave. Yeah, that's okay. Invest in them. When they leave, they will continue to impact others wherever they go. That's what we do in our organization. Whether you want to leave tomorrow or you want to leave today, we will invest in you. Because we want you to continue multiply leadership wherever you find yourself. Number 2, how consistently leaders make sound decisions. Because when you invest in people and build their leadership capacity, they will make better decisions. And that will help the company to grow and to become sustainable. And number 3 is how leaders respond to failure, growth, and change. Because things will change. You want growth, things will change. Change will create growth. So things will change. In fact, failure will create growth. Because we call something try, you have to test, review, and when you review, you keep on, review, grow, and then if it doesn't work, improve it. I mean, if it's working, improve it or scale it. If it doesn't work, review it, and then look for ways to make it better. So those are the 3 fundamentals that are very critical for emotional intelligence that leaders must focus on in building leadership capacity across the organization. When leaders lack emotional intelligence, they won't focus on leadership capacity. And with my experience, there are 4 things that usually happen. Number 1 is burnout. People will burn out. Number 2 is high turnover. Number 3, decision fatigue. And number 4, leadership instability. Those 4 things, you will always find them in any organization where leadership capacity building is not their major engine, it's not their major focus. And when they don't focus on that, they can't build for the future.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Fopana, I hope that answered your question. So we have another question from Mohammed, sir. He says that as a leader, which leadership tools can one use to bring back those employees disinterested in working? So he says, which leadership tools can one use to bring back those employees disinterested in working?
Which leadership tool can be used to bring back those employees disinterested in working?
Yes.
Okay. So the question is talking about how leaders re-engage, how you can help those people to, reconnect and they re-engage when they get disconnected. Great question. So here's the thing. First thing I want you to know is that disinterested people have, being disinterested is actually an output. Okay. It's a feedback. It's a feedback. And disinterest at work is really laziness. Many times leaders just think, oh, they are lazy people. Look at them. They don't know what they're doing. No, it's really laziness. I've come to realize, when you listen to people, you understand where they are. Most of the time, it is emotional withdrawal. So people disconnect emotionally before they disconnect physically. It happens to all of us. So the leader's job is not to push harder. Your job is not to Keep on pushing them. You guys, you have to do your job. Your job is to rebuild connection, clarity, and trust. Please pay attention to those three things. Your job as a leader is to rebuild connection. You know, in our scalable leadership framework, the level 2 focuses on you becoming a connector, you becoming a bond, because now you have been promoted to lead people who are doing the job that you were doing, because you've been promoted to lead a small team. So you need the capacity to be able to connect with people, create clarity, and then to build trust. And then finally, you need to also think about what I call the reset tool, of course, because you mentioned two. So the first tool I would recommend for you is leadership reset conversations. You have to be intentional. It's a tool. This is not a performance review, okay? Please don't call the individual to the office and say, you want to talk about their performance. No. It's a reset session. It's an opportunity for you to lead better. Okay? You want to know where they are, and you want to help yourself. You are not helping them. It's you. There is a reason why they are where they are. There is a reason why they have disconnected. Your job is to find out why, and then lead them from where they are. Sometimes you need to grow yourself, because in fact, if you do the job well, you may likely discover that you are the problem. That's one of the things I've seen in leadership. So let me just ask 3 questions. Let me give you 3 questions that I always ask leaders in this kind of situation. Anytime I get to organization and I see that things are disconnected, I ask leaders 3 questions. Very important. Number 1, what part of your work currently drains you the most? Because most leaders don't understand that. Number 2, what parts of your work gives you energy? Most leaders don't understand that. And if you don't know that, you are going to create problem in your organization or in the team that you're leading. People will become disinterested, and then they will disconnect. And eventually productivity will drop, and people, turnout will start increasing. Turnover will start increasing. Number 3, what do you feel has changed in how you work together, how you work with your people, and how you work with everybody? It's psychological safety, basically. Are they safe in the environment? What kind of environment have you created? Who creates it? You as a leader. And that's why everything rises and falls on leadership. Let me pause there for now.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I hope that answered your question, Mohammed. And so I know I said I was going to take 2 questions from the chat box, but I want to take Ruth's question because it's quite practical. So she said, I have a supervisor who is stifling growth within the team, doesn't welcome innovative ideas that would move the team forward, loves to take credit for work done by team members, and doesn't encourage growth. How does one overcome this hurdle, especially when I really want to grow and learn new things while building my career? So would you like me to repeat the question?
Please repeat the last part.
Okay, so the last part, she said, let me take it from how does one overcome this hurdle, especially when I really want to grow and learn new things while building my career?
Okay, I see. Great question. You want to grow under a limited supervisor, an unsecure supervisor. Okay, because that's basically what it is. Okay.
Yes.
And you want to grow under that person. So number 1, separate your growth from your supervisor's insecurity. That's number 1, because your supervisor is insecure, and the person needs to grow. Okay. And remember the report I shared a few minutes ago from Mark, and they discovered that their leaders, the managers, actually determine 76% of the engagement within the teams. So it's very huge when it comes to middle management. I usually appreciate managers, supervisors. Seriously, they have the most important job. The most difficult role in any organization is middle management role. Leading small teams and leading big teams is really, really a serious job, because you are working directly with people. You are right there in their face. So, and that is why I usually encourage people at that level to grow themselves. So back to you. Separate your own growth from the supervisor's insecurity, because that's the problem. See, some supervisors resist ideas and they take credit because they feel threatened. That's why. Not because your ideas are wrong, they are threatened. And here is the mindset shift that I want you to have. Your supervisor controls your position, not your potential. Please don't forget that. Your supervisor controls your position because the person is leading from position. The person has not moved into the permission level. You know, John C. Maxwell wrote a book, The 5 Levels of Leadership. The first level is position. The second level is permission. The first level is you are following your supervisor right now because you have to, not because you want to. Because what I see right now is you are not following that person because you want to. The person has not permitted you to follow because the person has not touched your heart. Okay? The right, if I'm talking to your supervisor today, there are different, I'm going to be discussing something different entirely about touching your heart and how to do that successfully. But for you, know that that supervisor controls the position, not your potential. So here's what you need to do. Do not internalize his or her behavior as a judgment on your ability, because that is the most important thing. You cannot break yourself. That emotional separation is critical for you. If you still want to stay in that environment, which is a choice, okay, your emotional separation is critical for your confidence, because you can't allow your confidence to let go because of your long-term growth. You have a vision already. Don't worry. It's a matter of time. Things will change. But you make sure you are growing you. So emotionally, intelligent leaders, which you have to become, learn very early. And that's what we are doing here. How to not let insecure authority shrink them. I'm happy you are learning that now so that you can become a better person. And you never know. Maybe life has put you under that supervisor so that you can learn what not to do when you also become one. Does that make sense? So
Yes,
learn all you can learn today. Learn what not to do when you become one like that, and learn what you should be doing now. So don't just think, oh, look at this person, is a bad person. No. You're already learning what not to do when you become, someone who is leading big teams. And just last statement for you, you cannot change your supervisor's personality. Please note that. But you can change how you frame your contribution. Look for ways to reframe your own contribution. Don't let that shrink your confidence and how you contribute in your team or across the organization.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. That was wonderful. So, Ruth, your supervisor controls your position, not your potential. Thank you. Yeah. Now we'll be going into a deeper reflection with Mr. Wale. Mr. Wale, from your experience, what is one leadership principle you think young African leaders must prioritize today to remain effective and relevant? One leadership principle young African leaders must prioritize today to remain effective and relevant.
Well, one principle that I'm going to share, what I think African leaders must focus on today is self-leadership. That has helped me to be who I am today. And that is the level where nobody graduates from. Unfortunately, people graduate from that level. And that's why I want to focus on that. In our scalable leadership framework, I've studied leadership for more than 20 years and I came up with that framework. The first level is lead yourself. The second level is lead a small team. The third level is lead a big team. The fourth level is lead an organization or a portfolio. And the fifth level is lead an enterprise. Yeah, you move from first level to second level. You get promoted and you continue to lead others, right? At different levels. But here's the thing. No matter the level you are, you don't graduate from the first level, leading yourself. The challenge we have is that people graduate. they collect their certificate from that level. Like today, now you are going to be certified. The certification is just a recognition for being here, for growing you. So you don't graduate from learning. Most Africans graduate from learning. They become so powerful that nobody can teach them anything. They become so powerful that they can't learn from anyone. I have a budget for learning every year. It's a budget. I have environment I put myself intentionally every year. I have people I have to hang out with every year. I have my relationship capital. Most Africans, they see leadership as leadership. Okay. Leadership. We've heard about that thing many times. You know, I had a conversation with a faith-based organizational leader, and I was like, we would like to have a leadership conversation in your organization. And he said, oh, you know, we've been doing leadership training, like, you know, we've been doing a lot of leadership training. I don't think it is needed. I said, when was the last time you had an intentional leadership system program for your people? And he said, yeah, we had one last year. You see, we see leadership systems as an event. It's not an event. It should be a lifestyle. It should be a lifestyle. And that's why today I don't beg people to to grow. I challenge them to grow. I don't care about who you are. As long as I have the permission to have that conversation with you, I will challenge you to grow. So my encouragement for everybody, and this is one of the things that really helped me, because I grew up in, you know, if you're a Nigerian, you're on the call. I grew up in Ilesha, in Osun State, in an environment where leadership was very scarce. And nobody was talking about leadership in my environment. I stumbled on some things. I began to read books. I began to study. I was intentional, traveling from one state to the other, attending seminars. I was just hungry for knowledge. I was hungry for knowledge. So you have to be hungry for knowledge. You're here, and that tells me that you are definitely hungry for knowledge. You are definitely hungry to become better. So if you have been thinking about things becoming better, oh, I want things to become better. Like, for example, 2026, now everybody's thinking, I want things to become better. Don't start with that. You first become better. Because when your inside becomes better, everything on the outside will catch up. You know, Newton's law, the law of gravity, explains about the law of attraction. Everything pulls. Everything pulls. Let me repeat that. Everything pulls. Everything. So the sun, the moon pulls the earth, and the earth pulls the moon. Okay? So they attract each other. But the weight of the earth is bigger than the weight of the moon. Please pay attention to this. And I'm going to end now. The weight of the earth is bigger than the weight of the moon. So the earth pulls the moon more than the moon pulls the earth. Now, because of the weight of the earth, the moon orbits around the earth. Okay? But here's the thing. What determines the pull from the earth? Why that the earth is winning? Because it has more weight than the moon. Your inner weight will determine what you pull. And what you need to build is inner capacity. No, in everything you do, focus on your inner capacity. You want to build a business? Focus on your inner capacity, because your business won't outgrow you. Your team will not outgrow you. The growth of everything around you will be determined by your own level of growth. John Maxwell said, if you're at level 5, the law of the lead in the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, if you're at level 4 or level 5, let me say level 5, from 1 to 10, if you want everything to come to level 5, you have to move to level 6, level 7. Because when you are at level 5, everything will remain under level 5. So no matter what you are talking about, things won't grow beyond level 5. The most you can have is level 4 of everything, including your business, including your family, including whatever you're leading in your community, in your nation, everything. Because nothing rises beyond your level of growth. So my encouragement finally is focus on your inner weights, your inner value, your inner capacity, because that will always determine how things go around you. So please write this down. If you can write it somewhere, no graduation from level 1 leadership. No graduation. And level 1 leadership is self-leadership.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. So to all the participants, I hope you've heard no graduation from the level 1 leadership. It's not the leadership, it is not the kind of leadership that you get a certificate. So thank you so much. And Mr. Wale will be taking just one more question because of time. So the last question, when you were founding the leadership channel, what was your biggest challenge and how did you overcome it? When you were founding the leadership channel, what was your biggest challenge and how did you overcome it? Thank you, sir.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting one. So let me keep it real. Leadership is fun and it's not easy to build a business. You've got to be ready. You know, sometimes people give you one principle. The only principle to build a business is audacity, right? All right. It's not just one. Okay. It's not just one. Yes, you've got to be audacious. Audacity is important, right? Okay. Courage is very practical, it's very much needed. You know, one of our speakers used the word discipline, and you have to discipline yourself to grow. And that's one of the skills you have to learn, you know, when you are at level 1, when you stay at level 1, you know, as a leader, no matter your level, whether you're an executive, level 1 is key. So for me, I learned so many skills. And one practical one that helped me in everything, because it was really challenging when we started. We first launched a leadership channel in 2009. And the company, the company actually, somehow, we didn't know what we're doing in 2011. So many things affected us. I was like, this is not working. This is not working. Right? Because sometimes you will find yourself in that kind of situation, like, what's going on here? Especially when you look around you, you don't find anybody to really move with you. Okay? You know, remember what I said, that I grew up in an average home where leadership was very scarce around me, and I wanted to build a leadership company. Can you imagine? That was tough, right? So I had to go back. You know, I first of all went back, I read so many books, and I positioned myself in that environment of my vision. That was the first thing I did. And what kind of environment is that? Environment of growth. I put myself in uncomfortable environments where I was challenged. Yeah, I was challenged. You know, where they told me, you don't know what you're doing. I was ready to accept that, and I didn't know what I was doing. You remember what I said, that you can't really grow yourself if you don't know yourself. Okay, so I didn't know what I was doing wrongly. So I put myself in an environment of people who were doing it successfully. So I paid and I served. You know, let me say this: if you want to really grow, wherever you want to grow, you have to do either pay or you serve. Okay. You pay into mentorship or you serve into the life of a mentor. You serve the mentor, you pay into that life. You can get access into anyone, because you have to find out how to get there, right? So I paid, and then I served. And I remember consulting. For me, I traveled from Osun State to Abuja to attend an event. And the person that organized that event, were very good friends now. Dr. Smith is in Abuja, very good friend now. And you know what? He organized, he started, he just started a few years before I did, but he was already ahead, at least few years. So I went to him, I went to his event. Very small event, like 7, maybe 13 people were there. But you know what? I traveled far and I saw the way he was doing stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. We went for lunch, and then I began to ask questions. Then from there, I started moving and traveling. Dr. Sam Adeyemi, great people, great mentors. Let me tell you something. Put yourself in environments that are very uncomfortable. You want to grow? Put yourself there. If you are always in an environment where you are comfortable, you won't grow. I remember I was starting with a mentor when I wrote my first book in 2009. My mentor, he read the book. When he read the book, he told me, he said, Wally, this is not a book. I said, this thing took me 4 years to write. He said, it's not a good book. I said, why? He said, it's not a good book. What happened? He said, I can't see you in the book. He said, you copied people. Everything I'm seeing here is the story of people, story of somebody. I can't see your life in the book. He said, if this is your book, you need to be in the book. So that made me to write 2.0 of the book. That was uncomfortable for me. It was as if he was telling me directly, you've wasted your time, you're stupid. I accepted it. If I was defensive, I wouldn't be here today. Some Africans don't like to hear uncomfortable things. How dare you talk to me that way? You know who I am? Oh, do you want to get to another level? If you want to get to another level, forget who you are. Who are you? I mean, by the way, who are you? Where you are is the first level for some people. It's all about your sight. So where you are, wherever you are today, where you are bragging, you know who I am. Oh, it's nothing to some people. So it was very hard for me. I put myself in a comfortable environment, and I also learned to be consistent, because consistency compounds. I learned to be consistent. I read every day, I write every day, I speak every day, I learn every day, and I look for ways to add value to people every day. I read every day, I write every day, I speak every day, I learn every day, and I look for ways to add value to people every day. Just like I'm here, I woke up 3 a.m. because I look for ways to add value to people every day. So that helped me actually to start adding value. And in 2011, I was not surprised when I was invited by then President Goodluck Jonathan, and I received a national award. And somebody called me and said, Wale, you are lucky. I said, yes, I created the luck. Because when I was studying, when I was traveling to different states, when I was putting myself in uncomfortable situations, when I was, consistent, when I was doing the work, grinding and paying, serving, that person did not see all of that. But the only thing he saw was I was lucky. Yes, I was lucky. I created the luck. So please create your luck. Create your luck by being audacious, by being courageous, by being consistent, by putting yourself in a comfortable environment, by being okay to be corrected. When things go wrong, it's a feedback. Don't make it personal. Failure is a feedback. Okay, take every failure as a feedback. Oh, okay, all right, it didn't work. Okay, all right, so how it's going to work now? So it's not a personal stuff. Take it as an event and move on. All right, test, learn, improve, re-enter. Re-enter means do it again and again until it works. So I failed probably like twice or 3 times before we were able to hold the Leadership Channel Institute. By the way, we are now an institute, not a consulting anymore, because we have 7 Center of Excellence now. We've expanded. We were expanded last year and turned into an institute, getting certified, and then partnering with several universities now in the United States. In fact, we've partnered with 2 universities in the United States now, running several programs, including AI executive programs now, right? And why is that happening? Because we have position ourselves, right? It didn't start that way. So somebody will see us, oh, you're partnering with that university now? Yes, university that started 1963. And we started when? Right? So if they don't see the value, they won't partner. So my last statement for you is, please don't just focus on one area of growth. Look for different ways to grow yourself. Make sure you know where you are going. That's very important, because there are 7 steps to leadership. I wrote that, I put that in one of my books. The first steps to leadership, number 1 is purpose, and purpose leads to your mission. The purpose writes the mission statement, and the mission statement leads to your conviction, because you have to be committed to the mission for you to be very much committed, to be convinced about the mission. And your conviction about the mission will determine how far you see the mission, and that leads to your vision. And when you have the vision, you are so passionate about the vision, you are moving with the vision. All right, that's the 4th level. You become an inspiration to people. Okay, and because your passion is the source of your inspiration, and the passion is needed as an ingredient in your vision in order for you to become an inspiration. And when you become an inspiration, then you are a person of influence. So you move from the person of interest to a person of influence, and that's how we have done it. And we thank God for where we are. But you know what? We are just starting.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. That was really, really wonderful. And I hope we all learned a lot from that session, from the deep dive session. I hope we learned a lot. Because I want to see our reactions. I want to see our reactions. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Wale, for sharing that so openly. There's so much leadership wisdom in lived experience, and we truly appreciate your honesty. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So now, to hear directly from our participants and close this session meaningfully, I'll be handing over to my wonderful co-host, Pascaline. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. Thank you so much, Timmy. But Mr. Wale, before you go, we still have one more question for you. We actually did a poll. Okay, so there is a question that came the topmost, and we are going to handle it just a moment. Okay, so the question that won the poll was people and culture challenges. So the question was, what leadership challenge do you face the most? So we dropped 3 questions, and the one that came up is people and culture challenges. So how can one overcome their leadership challenges when it comes to people and culture? Is it by building trust and transparency within remote or hybrid team, or perhaps developing emotional intelligence in workplace management, or maybe thinking about retaining top talents in a competitive global market? Or could it be bridging the gap between vision and team execution? I don't know what you think about that, Sarah.
Well, this is an interesting one. I'm looking for the best way to answer that. Okay, all right. Because I have many things going through my mind now. It's a big challenge in Africa, actually, because you just mentioned 2 things: trust and culture. See, both of them, there are great challenges in Africa, and many times we lead the way we've been led, and that's why we lead the way we are. And many people have not really understood that, and that's why they are not thinking about becoming better. Sometimes we blame political leaders and we wonder, why is this man not even caring about how people feel? And I asked them, just like you did a poll now, I said, do a poll in your own environment and check how many people have empathy. Okay, we have reproduced who we are, and that's a representative of who we are. So we have to get better. So here's the thing: how leaders can overcome all of this. I want to just talk about the culture and the trust. Trust is very central in everything. You can't lead people where people don't trust you. When leaders say, we have a problem, we have people problem, because I hear that every time. what they often mean is we have a leadership and culture problem. That's what they mean. Because people create culture. There won't be culture in any environment where if people are not there. Okay. We can't be talking about culture if we have trees or tables there. People have to be there, right? So they're actually saying, hey, we have leadership and culture problem. And culture is not what is written on the wall, the vision and the mission statement. That's not culture. Culture is what people experience every day. From my work across organizations, I can clearly say that there are, okay, let me just give you five. Let me give you five recurring leadership challenges that I've seen in people and culture. Just five of them. In fact, I'm going to run through this. And number one, like I said, is trust. Lack of trust. When people don't trust the leader, that will be a problem. And that problem is a cultural one. When people don't trust the problem. Why? What's the challenge? People will withhold ideas. They will shut up. People won't talk. Hey, these people are not saying anything. That's an effect. There's something bigger than that. Okay. Teams are working in silos. Oh, really? No, they're not just working in silos. They've been designed to work in silos. That's why they work in silos. So it's already a cultural thing. And how do people work at the top? Are they working together? Have we passed that across the organization? Everything rises and falls on leadership. So when fear replaces ownership, when people are afraid, that's actually a culture. And I'm saying all these things because they are practical things I've seen in leadership. You see people, they are afraid to talk. They're afraid to express themselves because somebody's going to tell them, shut up. Somebody's going to tell them, who do you think you are? Oh, that's a stupid idea. No. That's something we call backlog. No idea is a stupid idea. The idea may not be needed today. Put it in your backlog. We call it business agility principle. So here's the thing. The number one thing is lack of trust. Number two thing is poor communication. Communication is lifeline in everything. If you want to build a great culture and you want to build trust in any way, you have to master communication. In fact, one of the things I share with our leaders is that next year, one of the things we are focusing on is communication in leadership in organizations. And I'm happy I just said this now because it's very critical. It's a big challenge. Many organizations talk a lot, but they communicate poorly. They communicate poorly. Most people, they communicate, but they don't connect. There is a difference between talking and connecting. Most people don't connect because you just want to be heard. You don't want to pay attention to what others are saying around you. And it's a big symptom. It's a big symptom. I call it system alert. It creates confusion about priorities. It creates a mixed messages from leadership. It creates assumptions instead of clarity. And as the organization grows, clarity shrink if you don't focus on clarity. As things expand, complexity also expands with your organization. So because many times people just focus, we want to grow. Oh, we are growing. Oh, we are scaling. But do you know that complexity is also scaling with you? And the more you grow, the better you have to be clear as a leader. And if you are not clear, people won't trust your leadership. And when people don't trust your leadership, a culture will be created that this is how we do things. I don't know if you have ever heard that before. This is how we do things here, right? Even if the things are not normal. I wrote the book, Lead and Scale. And in that book, one of the things I shared there is communication simplify and help the leaders to understand how to position themselves in order to build trust and clarity across the organization. It clarifies expectations, not just goals. Because I train leaders to create systems, not just goals. It's okay to create goals, but systems override goals. Because that's what you can create, and then of course that's what you need to create sustainable growth. You listen as much as you speak. Most people don't listen. I was like that I was very poor in listening, you know, because naturally I talk, right? It's my strength. So it's very hard for me. It was very, very hard. I learned in a very hard way because things were falling apart around me because I was not listening. All right. So I had to learn to listen. If I had to put accountability partner in our organization, please pay attention to me. If I'm not listening enough, let me know. Give me the feedback. Can you imagine? My EA was doing that for me. My EA was my accountability partner at some point. He helped me to listen more. That's a learning leader. Okay. And that's how to trust you. Do you know what? That EA learned so much, now a CEO of himself. And one of the things he told me, he said, I learned how to be accountable from you because I was accountable to him. Can you imagine how many leaders can be accountable to someone that is serving them? Right? And that's how it starts. So he trusted my judgment because of that responsibility I gave to him. So we have to be very, very responsible. Number 3, resistance to change. We don't want to change. Things will change, even if you don't change. See, the moment we resist to change, when people start talking about something around you, because as your organization grows, as things grow around you, as you continue to grow, things will change. We have to adapt. People resist change not because they hate progress, but because they fear loss, uncertainty, and irrelevance. So please, it's important for us to focus on to understand that you can't be resisting change if you really want things to grow. And the 4th thing that I've observed is low engagement and motivation. I've talked about that already, that disengaged employees don't usually quit immediately. They first disengage, they stay physically, present, but emotionally absent. You've lost their hearts. The only thing you have in your organization is head count, not heart count. They are 2 different things. Because you've lost them. So lack of recognition. If you are not well recognized, like the person that asked the question about a supervisor, right? That supervisor is already losing that person, but thank God that the person is ready to grow within the company. So your own case is a little bit different, and that's like 2%, 98%. If you lack recognition, if you don't recognize people, they won't trust you. And if the leader is not recognizing people, that will become the culture. In this organization, we don't recognize people. We don't appreciate people's efforts. There are some organizations where there are no growth plan, growth paths. People are not clear about how to move to the next level. And if that is a culture, people won't trust what is going on in the organization. They won't stay long because people want to grow naturally. So, and if they don't feel seen, and if they are undervalued, they won't trust the leadership. And you can't allow that to be the culture, because people create culture. And remember, culture eats strategy. Anytime, for dinner, for lunch, for breakfast, anytime. It eats it completely. And the last one is misaligned value and behaviors. You remember I said something when I was speaking that everything is about pattern. Life is about patterns. And in organizations, we call it culture. For personal lives, we call it habits. It's about patterns. It's about behaviors. And everything is based on your value system. Because many organizations today, they claim strong values. Yeah. But when we get into them and we ask questions, we realize that their daily behaviors contradict what they call their values. And if you don't align the two, there will be a big challenge towards the vision, the commitment, and then the trust within the organization. So my last statement for anyone that cares to pay attention to this, in order to build your culture, to make it strong or better, and then to build better trust within the organization, you need to start modeling it. Model it. People do what people see. Model values publicly. There's something we call private life. There is no private life in public leadership. No private life in public leadership. If you are leadership is character, and leadership is like letters, letter A. Okay? Because A is A in the day and in the night. A will not become B in the night. All right? It's the same everywhere. And that's what you need to become. You need to model it. Model what you want to see. Don't just talk about it. Model the values public, number one. Number two, reward behaviors that reflect the culture. When you see something that reflects what you want to see, reward it and be loud about it. Reward it openly. Appreciate the person. Create systems around that reward so people know this is what you appreciate. Whatever you reward will definitely multiply. Number three, address valuations consistently. Don't keep quiet. Remember that emotional intelligence is not avoiding hard conversations. When people are not working in that directions, definitely you can't keep quiet when people are not working in that direction. You need to be clear that, hey, this is not the path we're going. And you need to have a system around that kind of violations so that it's not personal. It's a system. If the person is working against the system, it's like running through the red light. It's not a personal thing. You're running through the red light, okay? And that can actually lead to your own death. So it's a law. So you have violated this principle. You have violated this law that we have that will not help us to build the culture and to get to where we want to get to. So be clear about it. Culture is reinforced by what leaders tolerate. I think I will pause there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. That was a great moment to review. I learned something. Model, what do you call it? Value publicly. When it comes to leadership, there is no private life. Your life is public already, so there is nothing private again about your life. So you must model whatever it is that you want people to see, even in your closet. So thank you so much for your time, and we did appreciate having you here. All right, so we move on to the next thing agenda, which is the most exciting part of the whole thing. Okay, guys, if you've not filled the form, please try to fill the form, okay? If you're having difficulties filling out the form, kindly copy it and place it on your browser. You should be able to fill out the form, or you go to the Q&A section, copy it, or click and it will take you directly to the place. We also have our email dropped in the chat box. In case you're having any difficulty, please kindly reach us via that email, because if you do not fill out this form, I'm sorry, you won't be getting your certificate, and we wouldn't want that to be anybody's portion, right? We also have our social media handles in the chat box, okay? Please follow us on all our social media platform, okay? So you also get current and future programs. You wouldn't want to miss it, because this is value. So you already know what we can do in the future. Right, so thank you to all our speakers for the powerful insight shared today, and to every participant for your engagement. We encourage you to apply the lessons learned today, as you grow in leadership and business transformation. Okay, so make sure you put all these things into practice, okay? All right, so kindly check email for further information regarding your certificate of participation. All right, like I said, if you're having issues filling out the form, please get to us via email. Okay, so please stay connected to us via our social media handles. And now we are going to have some interesting feedback segment Q&A from our audience. So this period, you can open your video, you can open your mic, but please, if it's noisy, please do not, okay? So before we close, we want to hear from few participants, okay? So kindly raise your hand if you want to talk, please. If you did like to share one major thing you learned today. So we just have 3 persons, because there are 3 questions, 3 persons, and 3 minutes. One major thing you learned today, one leadership habit you want to build moving forward, and how today's training has shifted your perspective. So we are going to take on the first person that raised his or her hand. So I'm going to call on, forgive me if I get your name wrong, okay? Ensa Badjia. ENSA, then BADJIE.
Thank you.
Okay. So one major thing you learned today.
Yes, I must have to thank Mr. Wale. His explicit explanation. Though we run out of electricity, I mean, the room to avoid noise. And I'm sorry also for coming. I was attending a lecture, so I have to rush on to attend the session. However, he made mention of something which he emphasizes. There is no private life in leadership. Mostly he talked about public domain, public offices, or business setting. I'll take example. There was this high media we call in the Gambia, was on Gambia. There was a time they posted that we don't normally see our ministers. We don't know their profile. But I believe it's something that we will lacking as African. Like you don't know much about our leaders, our ministers. You don't know a website whereby you can go search for their background information before being given the leadership position. I believe training like such should be continuously organizing so that sensitization can happen. The younger generation who want to be our future leaders, our ministers, holding public office also can able to have that awareness that if you are in a public office, there is nothing like a private life because you are there to serve the people. So when serving the people, there is nothing or there's not going to be a hidden agenda. Whatever you are doing, the people following you should know. They should put you through. When you are around, they should guide you. When you are having difficulties, others should also support you so that you can make the right decision that goes in alignment with our constitution, our culture, our environment, studying everything that have to do with the positive impact of our community, our country, and our continent. So I really have to thank you on that. That really makes sense to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for answer. So you are saying there is no private life for any leader at all, which is what everyone should know. Okay, so number 2 question goes to Akambi Hamid Olamide. So the question is, one leadership habit you want to build moving forward? You can unmute and open your video and let's see you. But if you don't want your video open, that's perfectly fine. So you can go on and talk.
Yeah, you can hear me, ma'am. Good afternoon.
So we can hear you. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm trying to take that question well again, please.
Okay, one leadership habit you want to build moving forward from what you've learned today. What is that you want to build moving forward? Yeah.
Yes, one of the things that I have learned today majorly is in the area of dealing with emotions because I work with UNSDS in Nigeria here, and what I do is that I lead as a director of media and communications, and it's like a volunteer role, but it's like a major organization because it's attached to United Nations. So we tend to rule from Nigeria here and control about 36 states. So I'm handling about 36 states, with people across there. So the issue I used to have is the fact that I believe that we have this issue of trying to understand that okay, it's a volunteer role, fine, but at the same time, people should be able to be accountable. So I mean, that was last week. I have a team. I have someone on my team that handles the graphics of all the organization and the lights. So the person has been defaulting for like about 2 weeks, and it has been affecting all the social media handles, and it's really falling back on me because I don't like when I see tractions going down. And I'm trying as much as possible to make this thing work out. And the person was not just turning up. I just went to the group and moved the person. From all the groups, I wrote person like across all the teams. And after I moved that, after I did that, the person didn't message me back for saying all those things here. So I took up the role myself because the person thought that it's not replaceable. I just took up the role and I started continuing and I continued what I was doing. So when I was listening to what he was saying now, it's about the fact that I think in laid emphasis on the fact that we must also showcase our own role, our own you should look at the area of emotion. But at the same time, I'm just having a difficulty in looking at it from the point of okay, you are saying that we should look at it from the point of connect with the emotional stance, right? But how do you balance the area of energy, having a bad energy with a staff that is working with you, but basically it's not even just putting in effort, despite the fact that you understand the fact that the main tax to make this thing move forward is literally on their neck in the first place. So it's just like a lot of things. But what I have just learned majorly is the fact that we need to make them just connect with the idea and also make them see the area of good, because sometimes what I just noticed from that staff was more like the person was seeing two different things, because I was seeing we growing intentionally, the person was seeing something different entirely. And of course, it was really affecting my own reports, because I had to make reports to people that are also in higher roles, and I can tell you, this is what is giving me headache. So it was just like, you know, an headache for me. So but I learned the area of, you know, making them see it by nature. I don't know if you're getting my point of view.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So that was just it. But I'm still trying to, you know, look at, if I could get an answer to that question of, you know, balancing the area of bad energy with staff, because I feel like this thing is contagious, because if you allow that culture to grow, it can eventually affect, though it's not a paid role. I mean, it gets, you know, money actually, but it's not consistent but at the same time, so just like, you know, because it's one of the, I would say it's one of the biggest organizations in Nigeria that I'm working for, and it's just something that, you know, people should, you know, should be accountable for, actually, basically. So that's just it. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Akani. You know, I understand, and I've also experienced. I've been in this shoe before, when, you know, the other team members are working, while some persons are not working, to look like they are drawing you back, and you are not comfortable. You want to leave them, you want to go, you want them to stay. You know, sometimes you just have to make hard decisions, okay? But then you might have given them warning, like, if you can't be like active within 1 week or within 1 day, as the case may be, we will throw you out. Just give them benefit of doubt, and then if nothing happens, then you just have to own up and then do the needful in a hard way. But then, thank you very much. You can lower your hand. Then the next question goes to Ife Oluwa Enoch. And the question is, how today's training has shifted your perspective? Ife Oluwa, how today's training has shifted your perspective about leadership? You can unmute, open your video. That's totally fine. Ife
Okay.
Oluwa. Okay.
Thank you very much. Of course, I've actually seen like quite some time. I've been seeing leadership in one side, but of course, Mr. Wali was able to open up my mind to be able to see how that leadership actually starts from you yourself. There are different stages of leadership. That you investing in yourself, you know, actually is he explaining in the time of graffiti, how that you actually pull a lot of things to yourself. And in my own sense, I just see leadership as probably you in a position telling people to do this, do that, and all of that. But I've been able to see that you're actually there, you know, to help and improve other persons to be able to, you know, achieve what you're actually trying to do together. So, and I've seen it that I have to work on myself. I have to improve on myself, like to the very, very high point as I should be. Invest in myself. I think he also said about his own experience having budget for his own growth per year and all of that. So I've also inculcated that into my plan. Of course, from next year, looking at certification courses to take to improve myself, knowing fully well that is actually going to help people that we are working together. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's wonderful, Ifelua. I'm so happy that our program inspired you and making you want to take something, you know, very nice for your future, trying to get certified in leadership position, and then understanding that leadership is not about telling people what to do, forcing people what to do, but it's about allowing people to, believing in people to do what they are supposed to do. But then you must have, you know, develop them, you know, intellectually for them to be able to do those things, even in your absence. Okay. All right. So that is it. So we are about to round up, or we are rounding up already. So everyone, you can now open your video. Want to take a screen grab. So anywhere you are, take a screen grab, share it on your social media, tag us Pan-African Leadership Foundation, tag us on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. We'll be happy to share, okay? Take a screen grab, share it everywhere. And then that's the photo section. Since it's not physical, it's visual, so do it this way. So take a screen grab and tag us, okay? Would we be happy to reshare your posts and talk about how inspiring this program was for you, okay? You can find us everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.